Jeremiah Love breaks free. Jeremiah Love trying to go 98. Touchdown! What a run in the first touchdown of the 12-team playoff.
This is 365 Sports.
Daniels keeps it, and he scores.
365 Sports is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
Underneath, Smith gets to the corner. Money on the rise. Touchdown, Jeremiah Smith.
365 Sports is also brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952.
Johnson buys some time. There's the tight end again, rumbling towards the end zone, and the touchdown for Ancio.
Remember when you had a guy, someone who could fix anything? They're still out there at Batteries Plus. With their quick solutions and expert advice on batteries, key fobs, and phone repair, Batteries Plus will have you in and out and on your way in no time. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Dig deep. Klubnik's going to take off. Klubnik with a touchdown.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
And the gang is back together again. Craig Smoak is back from vacation. We still have a day or two over the next couple of weeks until the first full weekend of college football to maybe take a deep breath. But it's great to have Craig back in studio. Paul Catalina, David Smoak. Hope you've had a great weekend. And we start the week, and we will have a lot of different news and notes on the AP preseason poll, the top 25 that came out today. Craig, did you get decompressed?
Yeah, I did. I would say it's good to be back. I'd also say it'd be great to still be away, just because, like, you get away, you're like, wow, like, get outside of the bubble for a little while. So I wanted to reset my brain, and I think I was able to do that, and I think I was able to charge up my batteries enough to start this marvelous new year of college football that we've been waiting on for so long now. We're here on the doorstep, and so glad to be freshly charged and ready to go for these next few months.
So the Dragon is back in town. Before we get to headlines, what would you say, either one of you, of all of the fan bases in the Big 12, when it comes to the chat room, or even maybe outside of the chat room, is the one fan base among all 16 that we really don't hear from very often?
I don't know. I mean, like, it seems like when we talk about everything, I would say the least might be TCU, but
okay.
I don't think that's like, I know the most are BYU, Tech, Baylor, and Utah. But I mean,
and Kim Coulter counts as 9 Texas Tech.
But I think maybe TCU a little bit, but then I don't think that's.
What would you say?
Yeah. Utah's up there actually. Yeah. I would have probably said Utah towards the bottom. But I'm not.
Or maybe it's BYU fans talking about Utah.
Very well could be.
Yeah,
I mean, just because Utah's such the kind of. I guess the family member that doesn't really want to be a part of the family. So I just don't feel like they have that much interest, but I could be wrong on that. And I think with their football team this year, they are going to have that spike like everybody does at the beginning of the year. So hopefully a lot of them join us for the ride, and hopefully their ride's successful enough to hang around. I don't know how it really went for them last year. I just felt like we didn't talk about them a lot other than when it was bad. So maybe that's kind of what's in my brain. But outside of them, if that's not a correct answer, I don't know. Maybe like Cincinnati or something like that.
Cincinnati, I think, would be 2. TCU is the one that the chat room feels like is the one least representative, but resented. But Dallas-Fort Worth, of course, overall our number 1 market, if you put the two of them together among all the cities in America.
They just don't have a big fan base. I mean, they're very similar to Baylor in that regard. They're very similarly sized, and we know a couple of TCU commentators, our buddy Steven and obviously Brian Estridge and guys like that, but I don't feel like there's just this overwhelming I think it's very similar. It's a smaller school, so maybe that's part of the reason why.
Yeah, I think so. Like, that's one of the reasons that Baylor and TCU's rivalry is actually so intense, and I would love more people to know about it, because they're actually almost exactly the same in the way that they run things, the way that their fans react to things. They just wear different shirts and live in different cities, and that's why some fan bases are mad at each other because they're the same, like Baylor, TCU, Iowa, Iowa State. They're all kind of the same, and then some are mad because they're different. Right.
Yeah.
And then,
So. Well, TCU, I think, in my opinion, and I do get in the chat more often than not, is the one that you don't see many TCU fans making comments. That doesn't mean they're not watching us on Twitter, on YouTube, or et cetera, a part of our subscriber base. And, oh, by the way, speaking of that, please, if you have not subscribed to the channel, do so. We would appreciate that. So I'm playing golf with son-in-law Daniel. Jennifer was there too. And I'm playing golf with this young man. He's 26 years old. He was there on a first date with his girlfriend. And he was as good a golfer, and I mean as good shot-making player I have ever played with, other than if I've been in a program with a PGA Tour player. I bring this up because on about the 13th or 14th hole, he looks at me. He goes, "So you're from Waco?" And I go, "Yeah, I live in Waco." "What do you do there?" I go, "College football podcast. We have an afternoon show." I knew you. He watches and listens to 365 Sports all of the time. He's a TCU fan. He had waited till like the 14th hole to ask me that. He just couldn't quite get it. And I think Daniel may have made a comment or two. So I want to say hi to Michael Sparks, a TCU fan who is a hellacious golfer.
He was
for being a part of that group on Friday.
A date with his girlfriend?
He was on his first-time date. He takes his girl to play golf. She's from South Carolina.
Is she a golfer?
No, she's not. No, she's not. No, but
So he brought her there to show off.
Yeah, well, I don't even know. He didn't seem like he was one of those that was like trying to.
Well, see, then that's even better.
But she's a golf aficionado because she's like from that, South Carolina, Georgia, Augusta, etc. It was really cool. I said, man, that's one of the few fan bases we don't hear enough from as far as inside the chat room.
Yeah, there's so much golf in South Carolina. Like every year,
you turn around. There's a call, it's like a church in Texas, every corner.
The governor has to be like, listen, I'm going to do something about this stray ball problem that we have in all of our cities.
So, Michael, good to have you a part of the group of the family of what we do, and wanted to say hi, Michael Sparks, on the show. Now, of course, a couple of weeks ago, right? It was the coaches poll that came out. And now we knew that today was the day the Associated Press preseason AP Top 25 poll is out, with Texas and Penn State at number 1 and 2. And then you see with Ohio State, Clemson, Georgia, the rest of the top 25, Arizona State at 11, which I saw Chris Karpman is going to join us today, covers ASU, said he thought they'd probably start at 14. They're at 11. Then you look K-State at 17. You then have Iowa State and Texas Tech at 22 and 23. And there is, and I'm not saying this about Boise State. What have I said about who they'll stick at 25? some, not token, but some G5 school will be at around top 25, and there you have it with Boise State.
Yeah, the other G5 schools that received votes were Tulane, UNLV, Toledo, James Madison, Memphis, Liberty, Navy, Army, and
Air
Louisiana.
Force Marines. Yeah. So there you are with the top 25 poll. Anything there? There's a chunk of SEC, a chunk of Big Ten, the Big 12 with 4. Anything in particular? Again, this is not much different if you throw them up and be like a bunch of different logos scattered around the 2 different polls. But anything of your thoughts either way?
I think all these people have Ohio State ranked very high, and I get it. I just think that they need to maybe show something with this whole new roster before we throw them at 3rd. I think they'll still be pretty good. I think Miami may be a little bit too high, but I think I'm splitting hairs there. I think that Kansas State's too low. I think Oklahoma is going to be the one with the most potential to move up as many spots if they get hot. I think Ole Miss is about in the right spot. I don't think Tennessee should be in at all until we see them. Again, if you told me that, particularly Utah, Baylor, Louisville, and Georgia Tech would get that 24 spot over them, I would buy that more just because they're more loaded for Baylor, at least from returning production, than the Tennessee is from last year.
I don't have a lot of thoughts outside of I saw a note about Utah. This is a streak snapper for them where they had been in the poll, I think, for 6 consecutive years. Iowa, USC was another note. Those are teams that had been, I guess in Iowa was only a couple years, USC 5 years, Utah 6 years of preseason poll appearances. So Utah number 12 last year and not ranked this year. So I just thought that was something notable that I came across. And beyond that, now we can go ahead and tune up the band for week number 1. Number 1 versus number 3, Texas and Ohio State. That's going to be a massive game. And now you got the numbers that are attached to it. Now you know that game in Ireland between K-State and Iowa State is going to be a top 25 matchup, number 17 versus number 22. OU Michigan there in week 2, barring some miraculous upset in week 1.
Clemson, LSU,
that's going to be,
4-9.
Top 20 matchup. Clemson and LSU be a top 10 matchup. Some of that, I guess, was assumed already, but now it's official that you'll see, 4 versus 8, 1 versus 3, possibly 18-14, just again, depending on what happens in week 1 there. So you can kind of start to fill in those blanks, and 17 versus 22 out in Ireland between the Wildcats and the Cyclones. So I'm sure there's other matchups I'm not thinking about.
6-10, Notre Dame and Miami opening week.
Yeah, so opening week we can go ahead and fill them in as well. And that's kind of what pops out to me and what I always first look for with this original preseason poll. I don't get much right into the all right, what am I pissed off about now?
Yeah.
And kind of I'm just used to from all perspectives. I'm used to it now, especially the last couple of years from realignment. The top 10 to 15 is going to be basically 2 conferences. You do have Miami and Notre Dame, I guess technically, and not technically, but Notre Dame and Arizona State, who are throwing a little bit of a wrench in that being just all Clemson as well, I should mention. So it's not
4 of the 15
overboard, but it's 4 of the 15. So then you get into that second half, and that's where I start to anticipate to see the typical logjam of Big 12 teams and that G5 gimme at the very end of it. So that's pretty much how it always goes now. So you're going to be those same brands that are in the top 10. 7 of those are going to be in probably every preseason top 10 from here on out most years. And then when you get to about 17 to 20, you'll start to see the Big 12 begin to see some teams, and then you'll see Boise State or Tulane or someone like that at the end of it. So, that's typically how we're going to start nowadays. But Arizona State does throw a little bit of a wrench in that. At a number 11, that's a really strong high spot for them. So after getting ignored last year, or not ignored, but just nobody had any reason to pay much attention to them, they're going to have all the attention they want right out of the gate. So that's going to be a different dynamic for Kenny Dillingham.
All right, 2 things. Texas, this still to this day, to this moment, blows my mind. Even back when the coaches poll came out, remember, they had never been ranked number 1 in the preseason poll, and that's only been going on for about 20, 25 years. This is also, that's not the one, Brandon. This is also the first time that UT has ever been ranked number 1 in the AP preseason poll. UT won 3 national titles from 1963, 69, and part of it in 70. And they were never ranked during that time, or even during the years in the early 2000s when they had those great matchups with OU and won a national title. Then Colt McCoy, they never in either poll, blows my mind, been ranked number 1 in a preseason poll.
Yeah, I know. That's
preseason poll goes back, you just saw though, like 1936. That's just hard for me to imagine. But so that's just a little bit of a nugget.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's surprising. It is. You would think that they would have been number 1 at some point in time, but yeah, that's definitely a unique note there. And I think it's just very interesting that there's not a clear number 1 in any way, shape, or form right now. I mean, the fact that Texas can lose all that they did and they're just number 1 and nobody's really blinking an eye at that, to me is crazy. I mean, not like that they shouldn't be, but just that there's not somebody that's like the for sure thing or the go ahead and pencil them in. I mean, it is totally wide open because even Ohio State at number 3, they lost a ton. They got a ton of questions. So, yeah, I think this is a very fun setup for a lot of calamity and chaos, which we love with college football. But I really do think there's not that Alabama that sat atop the poll for 15 years in a row or just this like Georgia's not unbeatable like they seem to be there for about 3 years, right? Texas is very good, but they got plenty of reasons to think that they might drop a game or two. So, yeah, I think this is just a setup for a wide open year, really, is what that makes me think. But also just it's what Steve Sarkisian's done in his time in Austin. He's put together a really strong program that you feel like can lose double-digit number of NFL players. And when you can go and pluck guys out of the portal to replace needs, there's not this whole rebuild you have to do. So if you've got a good culture, you've got good NIL, you've got good players already on board, you can stay near the top and hover there and never really have those down years that you typically would have to have every once in a while. So, yeah, Texas just still there at the top. It's a testament to Sark and also just a wide open race, I think.
Before, Paul, you respond to that, this is also the first time, anytime the number 1 ranked team in the country has been an underdog in their first game. Ohio State's the favorite.
Yeah. So I think back to 2005. It doesn't surprise me they weren't preseason ranked then because everybody was all over USC.
I get that.
So that one, and then
they lost Vince.
And then they lost Vince Young. So then the next year, you're like, nobody knew that Colt McCoy was, at least for like a year and a half.
And that wasn't
going to be the all-time winningest quarterback in the history of college football, because I think he was before Kellen Moore, like a year later, came behind him and sniped it away from him. But but nobody really knew. I mean, again, he was from Jim Ned High School in Tuscola, Texas. It wasn't exactly the big 5A at the time high school that Vince Young was at, and so there was all these doubts. So that's why at least that one didn't, and they did. They lost a lot of people. But I mean, again, I wasn't around when they won their others in the 60s. So I don't know why they weren't.
But they won it in 63.
Yeah,
they won it in 69. When they beat Arkansas, which was like almost all year long, those two were playing for the national title, it appeared. And then Texas won, and then they lost their bowl game in 70, so they won. I guess it was maybe the coaches' poll, and then Nebraska won the other one because they lost their bowl game. They not once, though, just in all that time. Now, there was a bubble for 10 or 12 years after Colt McCoy left, and they lost to Alabama, where there was nothing they ever had that they should have been looked at as number 1.
But and you think about the 80s,
they were good.
80s and 90s, they were good, but they weren't great.
No.
We
had Florida State, Miami.
Yeah, but they were good. I think that's where, Texas, if you go back and look at their history until, from the time that Darrell Royal left until Mac Brown got there, they were just good. They weren't great. And then when they would play teams, I'm sure everybody remembers that Cotton Bowl against Miami that was around then, they would play a team that was the measuring stick of how good is the Southwest Conference versus everybody else? How is this? And they would get shredded.
That was when they got embarrassed in the Cotton Bowl.
Yeah.
So there we are with a couple of nuggets on that. Craig's mentioned the matchups in week 1. Texas, number 1, but they're 2.5-point underdogs to play or win that game at Ohio State in week 1. So those are the games. Those are some of the nuggets from our perspective. Vanderbilt, pretty good last year, right? They had Diego Pavia. You wondered if they would get an SEC bump. They did not. Brett McMurphy, who will join us today with some nuggets at 5, Vanderbilt remains the only power conference team that has never been ranked in the preseason AP top 25 poll. So we're going back to the 30s. They have not one time been ranked in the top 25. And if you thought that might be the case, then maybe this was one of the years that they could squeeze in, but they did not. All right. History, AP poll history, guys. Michigan and Ohio State have been in the AP preseason. No, that's not the one, Garrett. It's the one I sent you last week. Michigan and Ohio State have been ranked in the preseason poll more than anybody else 64 times. Alabama and Oklahoma have been ranked 62 times. Notre Dame 60. Then there's a little bit of a drop with Texas. Then there's USC, Nebraska, and then you have Penn State and also Tennessee. So how often and when was the last time teams in the Big 12 were ranked in the top 25 preseason poll? TCU has been ranked in the preseason poll 21 times. Last time was in 22, the year that they had that hell of a nice team. West Virginia, Colorado, and BYU have been ranked 20 times. And then you see the rest of the list down to Iowa State, who has been ranked 4 times, including in the top 25 last year. So that's there you are with the coaches or the AP poll and the history of the Big 12 schools and when they have been ranked, how many times in the preseason poll. And so there we are with that.
I mean, Iowa State at only 4 is surprising, but not surprising, right?
Yeah, put that first graphic up on that one I gave you. I want to make sure I clarify this. Final AP poll, not preseason. A final poll at the end of the year. Those are the teams where they're ranked. And then you have the Big 12 teams. That's why I mentioned TCU. They were not ranked in 22, but they did end up ranked. They were ranked very high because they played in the semifinals and won, beat Michigan and lost then to Georgia in the championship game.
Yeah, and for Iowa State to only have 4 all time is kind of wild for a school that's been playing as long as it has. But it kind of shows you how daunting a job that is as the head coach at Iowa State over the years, and what a good job that Matt Campbell has done. And even though this year again, they're probably undervalued at what they are, people kind of forget about Iowa State. I think some years that may be their problem lately is that people just kind of forget about them.
Yeah, they're pretty good, but and they are ranked in the top 25. Yeah. But the asterisk next to UCF, they started their first football season. The program began back in 1979, where everybody else began quite some time ago.
So is this Big 12 list the end of the year or is this preseason?
End of the year. It's the end of the year. Final AP poll appearances from 1936 to 2024. The number on the left is how many times they've been ranked in the final poll, the AP poll, after everything is done. And then also I wrote down the years next to them. The last team among everybody that was ranked in the AP poll at the end of the year, the longest drought, who do you think it might be? And it's a lot longer drought than anybody else.
End of the year. Well, it's not since Kansas.
No, Kansas was ranked in 2023. Remember, they had a pretty good team. Texas Tech, 2009. The last time they were in the top 25 AP poll at the end of the year.
Wow.
They are, of course, getting a great amount of attention. They've had a great run with what they are doing to try to get that roster to compete for a Big 12 title and maybe more. But everyone else, the last before them was 2018 West Virginia. So Texas Tech in the AP poll to close out the year was 1979.
Well, I think
2009.
Well, I think that Texas Tech obviously has rounded up a lot of talent, and I think my thought on the preseason poll is I'm glad the voters didn't go overboard with ranking them in like the top 15 just because they've been talked about all off season. I was wondering if that was going to happen because, well, writers and voters can get caught up in hype like anybody else can. And also you might just anticipate that they're going to be pretty good and that hype is for real. But it looks like the voters are giving them some respect, but not going overboard with it yet, which they could have done. And I was wondering if they would. So I think that's good. You start off in the top 25, but you have plenty of room to work your way up, and you don't get too over your skis early on. Although I think with, minus Oregon State, which again, I don't know how good Oregon State even is right now. I have no idea. So beyond that game early on, I mean, they've got a way to climb up and get near the top 15 by the time conference play starts up, because I don't see them losing a game in those first few weeks. So, I think they got put right where they should be to be content, to get a little love, but not go overboard, and they can quickly work their way up if there's as people expect them to be.
All right, one other note. This is not a list you want to be a part of. This is from Connor O'Gara. In the playoff era, which started in 2014, these are the active coaches, FBS coaches, who have had the worst record against AP top 10 teams. So in other words, if you played them 8 times, you're 1-7 or 0-8 or 2-6, whatever. Sharon Moore.
No, this is the wrong one again. We got to. No, the worst record.
Yeah, Connor O'Gara. Yeah. Okay.
There we go.
Derek Mason, 0-13. Matt Rhule, 0-10. Clark Lee Vanderbilt, 1-10. Justin Wilcox, 1-10. Stoops, 3-18. Pittman at Arkansas, 2-11. And James Franklin. There's been that thought about, again, a lot of those losses might be to Ohio State or Michigan, and plus when he was at Vanderbilt, but 4-20. Those coaches have really, really struggled. Sometimes it's because of the program they're at or whatever. But, man, Matt Rhule needs to get that goose egg off his plate, and has a couple of 2 or 3 chances to do that this year if they're good enough to possibly win a game and get that first one.
Clark Lee's was just last year.
Against Alabama?
Against Alabama.
Yeah.
And then, started, that little hit parade for them. And look, James Franklin, that's the one that jumps out because he is the one with the most. And it's only slightly ahead of Mark Stoops, but Mark Stoops is very much on the hot. Like, if you look at all these coaches here, I would say Clark Lee's not in the hot seat and Matt Rhule's not in the hot seat. Derek Mason's not coaching right now. James Franklin's not in the hot seat, but it's time to put up or shut up with him with 4-20 in that. But Sam Pittman, Mark Stoops, Justin Wilcox, I don't really know how they feel about him at Cal. But yeah, those are all coaches that may be a little bit different. But yeah, James Franklin at 4-20, like it's time to make that move, man. Like you've got everything you supposedly need right now.
It's also tough if you're the coach at Vandy and you're playing multiple top 10 teams to win many games. So I don't think this is just an exact science overall. But
3 Vandy coaches on the list.
So there you go.
Yeah.
They're playing a bunch of top 25 teams, and they're the worst team in the league most years. So they're all going to have bad records or take a lot of losses. And so I think that's what you see here. That's why, there's more to it than just surface level. But I think with Matt Rhule, it's beyond time for him to go win a big game. And I think when he was at Temple, it was hard to do because they didn't necessarily play a ton of big teams. Like I think he came across Houston, right, with Herman there towards the end. But maybe there were some others that jumped up and were ranked at one time. But yeah, he didn't get any big wins there. And then at Baylor, when he had a pretty good thing going, I think he would have beaten a lot of top 25 teams, but he decided to go to the NFL. And the ones he did have a crack against, which was primarily Oklahoma on multiple occasions, they let games slip away or they just got beat. And so that was the one bugaboo when those who were trying to console themselves about him leaving were trying to look at the bright side. He didn't beat anybody that was ever ranked, so we can surely find a head coach that's able to do that. And Dave Aranda's done it on a few occasions. So, yeah, I think now that you've been at Nebraska for a little while, it's time, Matt, to win a big game, to win a big top 25 game. So, yeah, I think he's the name that pops out to me because we've seen him at multiple stops with really good teams, but not necessarily those big, massive signature wins. So he'll have his opportunities this year for sure with the Big Ten schedule they've got, but that is something you'd think he's feeling a little bit of pressure over.
By the way, not many coaches in the history of the game have winning records against teams in the top 10, but these are the ones active that have just floundered. And for Stoops to do his time at Kentucky to win 3 out of more than everyone else other than Franklin, And Franklin, I think, at Vanderbilt was like 0-4 or something like that. He was there. He had a winning record at Vanderbilt. All right, so one note when it comes to an injury over the weekend, Baylor running back Dawson Pendergrass is out for the year with a foot injury. And so this is a young man that he was not their top running back, but it was not running back by committee. Bryson Washington is the dog. But Pendergrass was it just seemed like, how did he not go down? How did he come out of that pile? He could push a pile. He could also break away. Looked like elbows and assholes running, right? Crazy, just tough, like just amazing. He's out for the year. Caden Knighton, the young man from Oklahoma, he put that up. Let's work, sick him. That's a picture of his teammate in Dawson Pendergrass. Also, Michael Turner and Joseph Dodds are on the depth chart, but that is a productive player and a guy that was part of not the heart and soul, but pretty darn close to a guy that everybody could rally around.
He's as close to an automatic first down on 3rd and short as you can get.
Yeah.
I mean, and in the way that and the way he runs with his pad style and power. So he's not he's not the primary guy, but he's a nice secondary guy. It's a big loss for them because he was able, especially in a couple games last year where Bryson Washington didn't play, he was able to produce for Baylor and get that. So it's a huge depth piece that they've lost. And look, Caden Knighton's going to have his work cut out for him, but the staff feels good about him, about where he is already. So we'll see where they go. Bryson Washington's the alpha dog, but man, Dawson Pendergrass was the perfect changeup to him.
Mineola, Texas native, and he's out for the year. Craig?
Do we need to ask permission to talk about this first? Sorry, it's a little inside joke for us here in the studio. But, yeah, it's a huge loss. There's no sugarcoating this, although some will try. I mean, it's a loss. And you had a little bit of a thunder, or I know we default to thunder and lightning. I wouldn't call that Bryson Washington and Dawson Pendergrass.
No.
It was more thunder, I think, than it was any kind of lightning, really. But both explosive players when they need to be. And, I think he's going to be missed in several different ways, but especially it does spring to mind the short yardage situations, which he was often called upon and would pick up the first down and maybe even break it for a little bit more than you were even anticipating or needing. And I think to have nearly 700 yards last year, to have well over 100 carries, to have 6 touchdowns. I mean, that's pretty productive for your quote unquote second string running back. And he is also, or was, the oldest guy in that room, and he's only a junior.
Yeah.
So I know immediately everybody's like, hey, we got Turner, we got Dodds. And like, how many times that's not like a 5-star blue chip Bijan Robinson does a freshman come rolling in? And I know not all of them are true freshmen. Some are redshirt freshmen or this and that. But, I mean, you just lost a vast amount of experience, and you lost a good player. It's not even how much he's played. It's like when he's played, he's a good player. So they do have some names. They do have some young legs, some fresh legs, and they're going to need them because Bryson Washington can't do it himself. But it's going to be a very young room. And that's a big-time guy. And Pendergrass, I think they were going to lean on a lot that isn't available. So next man up, that's all you can do. That's part of the name of the game. And that's, I'm sure, what they're preaching over there right now. You can't sit there and cry over spilt milk and wish it away or anything. So, yeah, I just think it sucks for Dawson to work and get all the way up to this point. Anytime we hear about an injury, especially this time of year, it feels 10 times worse than if it had happened in the spring because you're so close. You can smell it. To actually playing football. So he'll have to now go begin his rehab process. I wish him luck with that, and good luck to the young fellas that will have to fill in. They can do it, by group, by numbers. So there are options which are good, but there are no proven options like you had with him.
I would say,
Garrett, can you get your microphone on just for a couple of seconds? Go ahead, Paul, and then we'll go to Garrett.
The silver lining, I think, in that scenario you put out is if I had to pick 2 positions that freshmen can make more of an impact at, is probably running back and wide receiver, because you have guys that you can say, go out there and just be an athlete for a second. At least in college football, you can, as where, linemen probably aren't strong enough yet. Defensive players don't know the scheme yet. You've got to be a really good defensive back to play as a freshman. You have to be instinctual Travis Hunter level kind of a guy to really contribute at a high level as a freshman. But running backs and wide receivers, you can. But even that all being said, the percentages of freshmen really helping you are still very low by comparison to everybody else.
Yeah, well, and the running back position, you can usually see younger players get an earlier start into their career because it's just a different position. Garrett, I want to bring this up to you, and thank you very much. Brandon Rowe, also Andrew Valade. You made a comment when I mentioned the Pendergrass, the depth chart with Bryson Washington from Franklin High School, stud. But now the three that we mentioned with Turner and also with Dobbs and with, of course, Caden Knighton. What is the issue there with you besides the fact we don't know too much about them other than what they did in high school?
My thing is when you look at the depth of the situation, Turner's a player who suffered a season-ending knee injury. It was his MCL his senior season. So this is a guy who is banged up. Obviously he's healthy right now, but this guy you got to take cautious concern about when you think about that. And then at the same time, when you look at Dobbs, he's also coming off of an injury where he missed last year as well. So you have two guys who you're asking to step up in the rotation to be vital pieces to fill in for Dawson Pendergrass, who have a history of injuries. That's just something for me where I'd be a little concerned if I was a Baylor staff or fan or anything, that you don't want to risk that. And there's something you have a track record of problems that could possibly unfold. Yep. Okay. Good points. The fact they're inexperienced, but also the fact they've had injuries that they're overcoming as well. With Caden Knighton, it's a young man from Oklahoma who comes with a lot of bells and whistles. So there we are with that. When we have our first guest will be Roger Wallace, who is the UT color analyst with Craig Way. He'll join us today. Pete Mundo, Heartland Sports, his top 25 poll and his thoughts on the poll being released. Chris Karpman, Sun Devil source on Arizona State, the highest-ranked Big 12 team. Not a surprise that they're the highest-ranked team among the conference. And Brett McMurphy with a lot of history and nuggets when it comes to the AP top 25 poll. The FCS poll, we'll have that later on today. North Dakota State, yet again, not every year the last 2 or 3, but they have been the national champions. That poll was released by the AFCA, the American Football Coaches Association, and more. And this is 365 Sports.
That's my go-to guy. Can you fix my smartphone?
Yes.
Do you have car batteries?
Yeah.
What about golf cart batteries?
Of course.
Battery from a G-Fob?
Absolutely.
My boat?
Huge variety.
Toy boat?
Sure.
Motorcycles?
You bet.
My apartment building?
Whole building.
Do you have batteries for my party lights?
Yeah.
Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
Big savings are waiting at Allen Samuels in Waco during the Make This the Summer event. Check out the all-new Jeeps that are arriving daily. Drive off in a 2025 Jeep Wrangler Sport for just $29,990. Or grab a new Jeep Compass Latitude for only $26,700. The road and trails are calling, and ramp up your summer in style with the Make This the Summer event at Allen Samuels.
Come by, let's be friends.
I'll never get used to this. I'll never get used to this. This is how I wanna live. Forever we'll be singing like, oh, I'll never get used to this. I'll never get used to this. I'll never get used to this. This is how I wanna live. Forever we'll be singing like, oh, I'll never get used to this.
Whatever it is you wrangle, whatever seeds you sow, no matter what you nurture or what you choose to grow, at Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, we're proud to protect all Texans.
Developed by Startup Waco, a nonprofit organization, GXG is a program designed to support the entrepreneurial development of Baylor University student athletes through NIL activations. The program helps student athletes maximize their platforms and offers a comprehensive support system for them to create and grow new businesses that not only benefit themselves, but also uplift the local economy. Fans who wish to support student athletes can donate to GXG via the GXG NIL Fund, BaylorBears.com/GXG. Contributions to support NIL activations through GXG can be made at BaylorBears.com/GXG. For more information, follow @GXG_GreenXGold on social media and visit the official website www.gxg.startupwaco.com. GXG, empowering student athlete entrepreneurship and uplifting the local economy through NIL activations.
Make this the summer event at Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram, where big plans start with the perfect ride at great deals. From weekend getaways to daily drives, your next new truck, SUV, or car is waiting.
Come by. Let's be friends.
You got batteries for my side-by-side?
Yes.
Replace my flashlight?
Sure thing. What about my business?
Ooh, good one.
100%. Batteries for my fleet of trucks?
Got floor scrubbers?
Yes, and fire panels. We have pallets of batteries.
Well, what about...
As your go-to guy, if it needs a battery, we have it.
Well, that's all you had to say.
Could have led with that. Batteries Plus, the experts in charge.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Roger Wallace, KXAN TV in Austin, but also color analyst with UT football and does other sports too. Joins us on 365 Sports, our good friend. Roger, thank you very much for your time. I still can't get over, and did you know this until 2 weeks ago and also today, that UT has never been a preseason number one, with really in that time period always being good the last 50 or 60 years, except that bubble after Colt McCoy left. Never. Your thoughts about that?
Yeah, you would think at least one time they've been number two a few times, including 05. And oh, by the way, they went to Ohio State, won that game, and went on to win the national title. But yeah, kind of an anomaly in college football, the fact they've never sat at the top heading into the season.
Roger, does it make you a little bit nervous that now that they are, and it's not a year ago when they had all these guys coming back, it's this year when this is maybe the full version of Sark's rebuild that he's done there? Like, this might be that first true version of no overlap, where this is a team built 100% completely by Sark and staff.
Well, it's funny because my first thought is they've got an unproven starting quarterback. I mean, as crazy as that sounds, until Arch Manning goes out and does it on the road, and does it game in and game out, series in and series out, throws a pick, bounces back, leads them on a touchdown drive. It's just we haven't seen it. It's not that he can't do it. We know all the hype around him. We know all the expectations around him. But basically, they have a new starting quarterback, kind of like the team that they're going to play on August 30th, minus the 2 starts against Monroe and against Mississippi State. So he's never thrown a pass on the road. That's going to be a first, and it's going to be in front of 105,000+. And then he's got a rebuilt offensive line. They're veteran. But still, you got 4 new starters in front of him, and that was something that Sark was so fortunate to get that amazing class and have 5 guys that were started so many games together.
Roger, do you have any comparison you can draw to just the anticipation level to see Arch Manning in full starting quarterback mode? I mean, I know there's been great players, blue chips that have rolled through there that people were excited about, and we have seen them a little bit, but. Do you have any comparison to anybody over the years you've covered that's anywhere close to kind of just what people are buzzing about?
Well, one of the obvious ones because of the bloodlines as well as Chris Sims, but he was walking in with a pretty good quarterback in Major Applewhite. And if you know how that all went down in the late 90s, early 2000s, it was, I wouldn't say a mess, but it was kind of an unusual situation. Maybe is Quinn Ewers. Quinn Ewers came in with all the hype, the fact that he did have that year at Ohio State, even though he didn't play. So he really was coming in as a first-year quarterback with a pretty good year of college experience as far as knowing what it's like to be around a program like that and all the hype around him. And he was a huge name in Texas, obviously. But no, nothing like this because of the name and because of, what is perceived as the skill level and the fact that we got glimpses and we saw him. He was great against Mississippi State in their first ever SEC game, but nothing like this when you combine the fact that they're preseason number one. This is something that's new to all of us down here.
I would never say playing Ohio State at a good time because they've been good forever. They had that one blip or so. What was it? Maybe, Paul, what was the year that they when the Tressel was gone or whatever, they had one blip, but they don't lose. But do you feel like even though the game's in Columbus that this might be not a bad time to get them because they lost a lot too? And a freshman quarterback might be starting?
Yeah, I'm going way back. But you might be talking about Virginia Tech with Charlie Brewer, the former Lake Travis high school quarterback. Yeah. They beat him in Columbus. And then if you remember, David would, some wouldn't because it was 20 years ago. But remember, Troy Smith got in trouble the year before. And so Jim Tressel was rotating quarterbacks in that game against Texas. And it was Troy Smith and Justin Zwick. And Zwick's the one that fumbled after Texas took the lead on the Vince Young to Lima Sweet touchdown with about 2.5 minutes to go. But yeah, you're right. Just because they're going to have a new quarterback, they're going to have a highly touted quarterback. A lot of talk that they're going to maybe come to a decision here in the next week. But yeah, if you're going to catch them when somebody's playing their first game as a college quarterback against a pretty good defense. And noon game, not a night game. I know it's not a big difference, but I think a little difference.
Let me ask you about that. How surprised were you to see the Ohio State fans incensed that Texas would not go along with their idea to move the game?
Well, that's a pretty big ask to move it a day. And, this whole schedule kind of got turned around, and it was part of Texas's doing because of the move to the SEC. They had to give Fox inventory. That's why they went to Michigan last year and didn't have Michigan come to Austin last year. So think about this. A program like Texas, and you can go down the list of schedules, but how many programs have played on the road in consecutive years? Alabama, Michigan, and Ohio State.
Yep.
And that's what they're doing. So the fact that Texas didn't want to move this game to a Sunday, like I said, that's a big ask. They still have to play the next weekend in their home opener. Oh, by the way, it's an 11 a.m. start in their home opener, I believe. So that kind of shrinks everything a little bit more. I'm not surprised at all. Heck, it's a big noon kickoff. That's Fox's premier slot. That's not Texas's fault. That the big noon is not the big 8 p.m. kickoff. It's the big noon kickoff. So they're in the top spot.
So, Raj, they been one step away these last couple of years. Does it feel like there's the pressure of its national championship appearance or bust, or is everybody kind of content with, hey, everything's going really, really well, national titles are hard to win? I know that's probably it's too rational for most college football fans to think that way, but I think you see what I'm getting at. Is there any pressure to win bigger than they're already winning as big as they are?
Sure. They went to the Final Four 2 years ago and, had a pass in the end zone to A.D. Mitchell to somehow win that game against Washington when they never should have been in it because of some craziness late in the ball game. Last year, they're knocking on the door to tie it up against Ohio State and, the strip sack and lights out. So, yes, of course, Sark has built a program here that I don't think anything drastic, when you ask about expectations, but sure, playoff, got to get a little luck. You got to stay healthy. But yeah, this team's thinking about, and why not in this program and this fan base that they should be back in the Final Four. And then I think from there, you kind of let the chips fall and see what happens. But yeah, certainly to be as far as they've been the last 2 years. Now, last year they had to win 2 games to get to the Final Four, quite a bit different than 2 years ago.
Roger, the roster, the way Sark has put it together, Paul brought this up as well. It's been methodical. It hasn't been like from 2-10 to a monster year. They have done this methodically and very, very well with Sark. What is Arch is young, but we've seen him play enough. What is the number one or two concerns? Is it the youth on the offensive line? No matter who they have as recruits, what is the concern?
I think you start there, David, and it's not as young as it is inexperienced with a lot of games. Trevor Gooseby is going to be their starting left tackle. He's young. He did play in the SEC championship game. Kelvin Banks went down. He's got an incredible skill set, athleticism, but still he's a second-year left tackle in the SEC. And then you have a bunch of guys. They got hit with a big injury last week. Andre Kojo, who was battling for that right tackle spot, is out for the season. They got some other guys that have played. DJ Campbell was big, obviously, to keep him at right guard. He's the only one back from last year. But you have to start with the offensive line. And then on the interior, on the defense, Sark went heavy in the portal for defensive tackles, interior players. I think they're pretty excited about the edges, especially Colin Simmons on the edge. And then, obviously, Anthony Hill is one of the premier defensive players in the country. There's still going to be concern in the secondary. When you lose a Jade Barron and an Andrew Makuba, there's got to be some concern. But I think, David, I think you're right. It starts with the offensive line.
What do you think about the timeshare with a healthy C.J. Baxter and Quintravian Wisner there, and how will they kind of ride the hot hand there, or do they have maybe a different plan? Because the skill sets are slightly different, but they're both guys who can kind of run into people and knock them over as well as run past them. Yeah, I think it's going to be, if they can afford to, bring along Baxter slowly. So I think early on it probably won't be equal, but maybe by midseason it will look more like that. Both can catch the ball in the backfield, which, as you guys know, is such a big part of this offense. Jarrett Gibson, the now sophomore, was real productive. Then he kind of got the fumble problem, and you fall out of good graces really quickly when that happens. But I think he's a guy they really like on the goal line, and that was a problem area last year, red zone, never more glaring than at AT&T Stadium. But I think Sark would love balance, and he would love to share the load with those guys, and then Gibson, and see if one of the younger guys emerges as well to help him out in the run game. The other thing is, now they're not going to, they're going to run zone read like they did with Vince Young or even Colt McCoy, but it's certainly going to be there, and there's going to be that potential for Arch Manning to maybe soften up the defense a little bit with his running.
Roger, the way Sark has done this, brought this up again, did you ever expect it to be this, not smooth, because there were bumps in the road, but what he's done, considering 2 straight Final Fours as quickly, that's the expectation at UT, but did you expect it to be this quick?
No, because there was no great reason to, when in his first year they went to Arkansas and got exactly what the entire SEC was hoping for. They got pushed around on the line, because that is the mantra. You're not going to be able to play in the trenches in the SEC. Look what happened against the middle to lower level SEC team. And so from there, there's no reason to believe at that moment that they were going to be here. And then you start looking at some of the recruiting classes, and you start looking at the way players were developed. And we talk a lot about that with some former players. What they see in this program is that key word, development. So you bring them in high, and then they get better, and that's why you have as many draft picks as you've had the last couple of years. But again, I put so much on that offensive line class they got a couple of years ago. They stole Kelvin Banks from Oregon, but and then you start, maybe it's the flip side now, you guys, where you kind of expect it. So that kind of goes back to the expectations, the rankings of the recruiting classes, the fact they've got a history of developing. Okay, you've got all the ingredients now. Show us what you can do. And Sark certainly feels that. And, I think his NFL background helps so much. It helped before, but now the way college football is constructed this day and age, I think the fact that he was around an NFL program helps so much. Now that you're paying players, you got to payroll and all those other things.
You have been around that program for quite some time. Did you realize, even when they were pretty good but struggling, or they weren't winning at all, could you yourself see the culture, the issues, the entitlement? Was that something that was obvious?
Well, Mac Brown admitted that the 09 season took a lot out of him, and 10, the bottom dropped out. He had his only losing season. Then he got back in the conversation. Remember, he went to Waco and had a chance if they had won that game against Baylor on that freezing cold day and didn't get it done. And then, Charlie Strong was a bad fit. The whole thing was just not a good fit. He ran into some bad luck early on. Tom Herman was the obvious pick. He was such a hot name at Houston, but he hadn't really been doing it that long. And Houston is not here, and being a coordinator under Urban Meyer at Ohio State is not being the head coach at Texas. So then that didn't work. So, wow, what a gamble if you guys think about it. How about that Saturday? I believe it was January 2nd, 2021, when Tom Herman is out and they're going after Steve Sarkisian, offensive coordinator at Alabama. Who in their right mind says slam dunk hire?
Yeah.
So I give Texas credit for having some foresight and being willing to probably listen to a Nick Saban, listen to a Pete Carroll talk about how smart this guy is. And you guys know his history. There's no question in my mind that has helped him become the coach he is today. He was humbled in the worst way. And so all that combined, but now he's done it. But no, if anyone that tells you otherwise, Craig and guys, I think they're kidding themselves that they saw this from the jump.
Roger, what do you think about year two? There might have been, I don't know if there's a surprise factor with a new team in the league. Of course, it didn't really work for Oklahoma that way, except for against Alabama. But do you think that the surprise factor is worn off, or now maybe we really don't like these guys, so maybe Texas bullseye gets a little bigger now this year? I mean, it's the SEC, so it's a little bit different than everywhere else.
Yeah, more so probably now because, like it or not, they have to show Texas some respect after what they did in their first year. But the schedule is so much different than last year. When you think about the road schedule last year, the only true SEC, this is the new conference for Texas, was Vanderbilt. They'd been to A&M before. It's 90 miles away, even though they hadn't played since 11. They went to Arkansas. We talked about that in the non-conference. OU was a road game. So Vanderbilt was kind of that true. Now they're going to Florida. They're going to Kentucky. They're going to Mississippi State. They're going to Georgia. They don't play at home in the month of October because the OU game is a home game in Dallas. So it's so different now. But, yeah, they'll be greeted. Vanderbilt didn't count. I mean, that was Nashville. That's not your typical college town. The stadium was under construction. They had a really good team, and they gave Texas a scare coming off the Alabama game. But still, it didn't feel like, you're walking into Oxford, Mississippi or Baton Rouge. So I think next year and the year after, when the schedule flips and we get the new rotation, maybe we'll feel it again. But this will be a lot different this year with the road schedule.
Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it, Raj. Good to have you. Roger Wallace for KXAN, also UT Football Radio, color analyst with Craig Way with us on Texas. Arbuck was saying that we let Roger off the hook because we didn't bring up the fact that they could have played a Sunday night game in Columbus.
I did bring it up.
I'm just telling you.
I straight up asked him, I said, how surprised were you that Ohio State fans were incensed that Texas wouldn't move the game?
Why would you move the game?
I know. It's the dumbest thing ever.
I think Texas is going to win. I'll put that out there now. I do think they're going to win. But why would you move the game? It's Big Noon Fox is the one that wants the game at noon, at 11 o'clock. So that's nothing to do with what Texas can do or say. You lose one more day, maybe even two, because you're traveling when it comes to following up your next game. I still think Texas is just better. I do think that the young quarterback at Ohio State's talented, whoever is saying. But I still think just Texas is ready.
According to Ryan Day, he's in a battle.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah,
I saw that too. Yeah. But, okay. All right, when we come back, Pete Mundo from Heartland Sports, he has his top 25 poll, his thoughts about that. Chris Karpman, and later on today, Brett McMurphy will join us too. We appreciate your time. Hit the subscribe button or get in it and subscribe if you have not. This is 365 Sports. The Baylor Club inside McLean Stadium off I-35 in Waco, and I saw a note today about the concert they have coming up in a couple of weekends, and getting themselves locked in for that opening game on Friday, August the 29th against Auburn. The Tigers who are coming to town. Your connection to all things Baylor is the Baylor Club. They have been doing construction. I wasn't there the last 8 to 10 days, but they were moving walls and they were doing this and there was some dust and all of that of what you would expect. And yet, here they are. Nick Colwell, the new general manager and company, busting it to get ready for the concert on the 23rd and the opening game against Auburn. It is a fantastic place, one, to be there to watch a football game or any other special events, but also because of what they have when it comes to lunch or dinner and specials and special events and more, luncheons and banquets and even business meetings, symposium. The Baylor Club, a great place. And of course, because they're a part of Club Corps, you can play golf courses around the country with your membership too. The Baylor Club inside McLean Stadium off I-35 in Waco.
Big savings are waiting at Allen Samuels in Waco. Drive off in a 2025 Jeep Wrangler Sport for just $29,990, or grab a new Jeep Compass Latitude for only $26,700. The road and trails are calling. And wrap up your summer in style with the Make This the Summer event at Allen Samuels Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram.
Come by, let's be friends.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
Don Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Arturo Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. Don Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Ready to take your business to the next level? Carrion Solutions has got you covered. We deliver world-class IT consulting, including Quest On Demand and Migration Manager, M365 and Exchange migrations, Active Directory assessments, security hardening, and Windows Server upgrades. Our experts specialize in consulting, monitoring, support, and managed IT services. We promise vision, professionalism, and unbeatable value. Satisfaction guaranteed. If you're not happy, we make it right. Remember the name Carrion Solutions. For more info, email sales@carrionsolutions.com or visit carrionsolutions.com. That's CARRION solutions.com. Carrion Solutions, IT success guaranteed.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
This is 365 Sports. Text us at 254-339-1122. The text line is sponsored by Riverbend Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Pete Mundo, Heartland Sports, joins us to start this 4 o'clock hour. The AP poll is out. Pete has a little bit to do with that as well, with all of his background of the Big 12 teams in the background. Pete, thank you very much. With Craig and Paul, David Smoak. Your thoughts about the poll, and was there anything in particular that you struggled with more than anything else?
No, not really, and I appreciate you guys having me. I mean, it's what we saw similar on the coaches poll last week, which is Arizona State is head and shoulders, according to the voters, above the rest in the Big 12 right now. But I was surprised by the gap between Arizona State and everybody else, the rest of the field, so to speak, in the Big 12. I don't think there's that big of a gap between one team in the Big 12 and anybody else. And I don't have Arizona State in the Big 12 championship game this year. So obviously I disagree with that. But I just think you're going to see a lot of these teams in that 15 to 30 range this season, and Arizona State's going to be in the mix. I just don't believe they're going to be head and shoulders above the rest, as much as I like what Kenny Dillingham is bringing back in 2025.
Pete, I think that sometimes, everybody has different methodologies when it comes to making a top 25. I don't have a vote, but I did, one for the show for the top 5. And I look at a lot like returning starters, like what you've brought in, the production that you bring in from the portal and all that. And I would think I kind of agree with you on the Arizona State. If you're just looking at the Big 12, Arizona State and everybody else should kind of be jumbled up together if you're going to put them in there, because there's really, when it comes to the better teams, most of them are kind of like Arizona State. Arizona State was just better than them last year, but this league can flip on such a dime.
No, I mean, there's just not – I would have projected a top Big 12 team to be ranked somewhere from 14 to 16. Arizona State's been right outside the top 10, which is great for the Big 12. And if they hold up their end of the bargain, that's definitely a good thing for the league. Maybe the Big 12 could sneak 2 teams into the playoff this year. That would be fantastic. But I don't see it. And you saw 3 teams just outside the top 25, barely missing out in the AP poll that dropped today. So really everyone is guessing in college football right now due to the transfer portal rules, but especially in this conference. I mean, you've got upwards of half the fan bases in this league, maybe more, who are saying if things just break right for us, we're going to win this season. And guess what? That's how they should feel. And that's what makes this the most exciting conference in college football.
Pete, who are you liking as we get down into the nitty gritty here before kickoff? Who is the team or teams maybe that have caught your eye and are standing out maybe above the rest?
Well, I've got a top tier in the Big 12 of Texas Tech, Utah, Baylor, and Arizona State. I would slip Kansas State into that as well. They could also be the start of tier 2. But I'm very high on Texas Tech. I think they're going to win the whole thing. And I know that it's like super cliche based on the portal class they just brought in, but it is SEC-esque when you talk about the offensive and defensive lines. I like to go through Phil Steele's numbers, and he has the offensive line and the defensive line for Texas Tech in the top 15 in the country. Nobody in the Big 12 comes close to that. So you look at what Joe Maguire did, and he clearly beefed up on both sides of that line. And, we know some of the guys. Lee Hunter from UCF comes in at defensive tackle. You've got Colorado offensive lineman coming in to play guard. So you have familiar faces for Big 12 fans, and it is just absolutely stacked. And in the Big 12, where the talent is similar and the schedules are fairly similar, I'm just going to go with the team that has, I believe, at least on the starting line, head and shoulders talent above the rest. And I love the fact that Barron Morton's coming back at quarterback. I think if you're going to have a big portal class, having synergy at that position can be so critical, and Texas Tech has that. Now, Joy Maguire's got a lot to prove. He is not obviously won at this level, at the Power 4 level as a college football coach since coming over from Baylor, but he's done good things. He's moved Tech in the right direction, and I think Tech is going to be the team that wins the Big 12 this season and is going to the college football playoff representing the Big 12.
You hear that about Joey. He's 23-16 in 3 years. He's won 8 games twice, 7-6, and they either started poorly or finished strong or vice versa. He actually has put together, considering he took over a program that wasn't broke, he's actually done pretty well. But you're right, Pete, it's time to get to that 10-win level. It's time to take it to that next level, and especially with the commitment in every way that they've had at Tech.
Well, he has to. I mean, they didn't spend, if you read the reports and believe the reports, $30-40 million to go 9-3 or 8-4. I mean, he's got to at least get to a Big 12 championship game for the season not to be a bust for Texas Tech. And I think, Joey knows that. He said as much in all the interviews I've seen with him this offseason. So he's embracing the pressure. It seems like his guys are embracing the pressure as well. But there's no doubt you cannot have this collection of talent. And also Texas Tech has one of the weakest schedules in the Big 12 and not believe that this team is Big 12 championship or bust, which means college football playoff or bust. There's just too much talent there. Now, if there's injuries across the board, you may excuse some of this if they don't reach that level of play this season. But Texas Tech has a lot of pressure, very high expectations, and I think they'll live up to it. And I think to your point there, David, as well, Joey Maguire has finished above 500 3 straight seasons in the Big 12. Nobody's done that at Texas Tech since Spike Dykes.
Yeah.
Mike Leach didn't do it. Look it up. Mike Leach did not have 3 straight seasons where he finished above 500 in Big 12 play. So Joey, I don't think has gotten enough credit, but still, this is a different level of expectation this year. And the question is, can he meet it? And I think he will.
Who are you higher on, Iowa State or Kansas State?
Oh boy, they're coin flips. Kansas State, though, I've got finishing higher than Iowa State. Iowa State, you lose 2 NFL wide receivers. Rocco Becht was hot and cold at times last year. They lose a surprising amount of pieces on the defensive side, and I would never question John Heacock, their defensive coordinator. I mean, he's just been year in, year out one of the steadiest hands of any coordinator in the Big 12. But I just think that Kansas State, with Avery Johnson, with what they've got coming through on the offensive line and the defensive line, is going to be a tick above Iowa State. But I know there's a lot of people that think that both of those programs can compete atop the Big 12. I see them just being a notch below the top 4 teams in the Big 12, which I've got as Texas Tech, Utah, Baylor, and Arizona State. And frankly, I don't think this trip to Ireland and a conference game in week 0 helps either team. It's a lot of travel. It's a pain in the butt. I know it's good for TV. I know it's good for the conference, but it does nothing for you. It throws off your first half of the season. And in a Big 12 that's going to be decided around the margins, it's one of those small little things that could come back to bite them in a weird way. There's nothing about it I like.
So, Pete, you've been covering the conference for a while. We've had a couple years now of the American schools and BYU, and now going into year 2 of the PAC schools. Just what have been your thoughts on kind of how the league has gathered itself the last couple of seasons and what they've got in store moving forward and how all the pieces kind of fit? Or in the case of maybe a Utah, don't fit, but that's also kind of the fun of it, right? Is they're the foil now, kind of replacing a Texas or an Oklahoma. It's a weird marriage that all these teams came together, but there's some beauty to it, and there's also some things that aren't as fun. But what have you made out of it, and what kind of sticks out as a positives and negatives so far?
Well, it's weird, but it's working. And for the first time in the history of this conference, you have 16 athletic directors and 16 conferences or 16 programs that are actually just moving in the same direction together. And they're not trying to backstab each other. No one's trying to leave. No one's trying to have the, first foot out the door. And we had been dealing with that for, going on 20 years at this point in this conference. We all knew what Texas represented. No one liked them. Texas always thought it was better than this league. That doesn't really exist. And I know that, there are Utah haters out there, but I think that is a small percentage of the online portion of Utah fans. I mean, we deal with Utah fans all the time at Heartland College Sports and on our website, on our forums, on our channels. And listen, I really think that those Utah fans who claim to hate the Big 12 get amplified on social media. I don't think it's a large percentage of that fan base, but it's fun to try to find that fan base because that fan base currently doesn't exist. So people have latched onto that Utah thing. But, right now the Big 12 does need to find more rivalries. You've got the Holy War. You've got Farmageddon, which one of the few mistakes made by Brett Yormark and this leadership in the Big 12 is not having K-State, Iowa State as one of those protected rivalries. One of the dumbest things they could do for a conference that doesn't have enough rivalries is not make that an annually protected game. And if they've got any wits about them, they'll fix that as soon as possible. They got to get more rivalries. Those don't happen overnight, but trying to figure out how to build them is going to be critical. And then figuring out whether or not they can find a blue blood. And I use that term loosely because you don't develop a blue blood overnight, But is there a team that becomes a perennial national contender? Is it Texas Tech? Is it Arizona State? Who is it that steps up to the plate? But you really do need that. As fun as this conference is right now, as unpredictable as it is, you do want to have 1, 2, 3 of those teams that you know are consistently going to compete at the top just for national relevancy. And the Big 12's got to figure that out over the next half a decade.
Pete, is it more difficult or easier to do the preseason poll with the transfer portal and the movement? Is it make it because some teams can restock like a higher ranked teams, or is it more difficult because then, man, you just don't know if it always works out?
Well, it makes it fun. It feels like there's no offseason for those of us who do this, as you guys well know, but it is so difficult to project what a guy is going to do leaving a program, coming to another program. How motivated is he? How you can't even factor in now the monetary side of this. Does a guy get a $500,000 check and just figure I'm coasting? I mean, you got to think about that with 19, 20, 21-year-olds. You see it in the NFL all the time. These guys are even younger. I mean, there's so many different layers to trying to project any of this right now that is far beyond what we were having to do even 5 years ago. So I'll be the first one to tell you. I mean, we're all taking educated guesses here based on our coverage of the conference, but it is more difficult than it's ever been to try to figure out what these teams are going to do. And that's why I don't hate the Big 12 getting rid of its preseason poll, because we were all basically making educated guesses. And we saw how it went last year with BYU, Arizona State, and Colorado all picked near the bottom of the Big 12 and all finishing tied atop the conference standings.
Pete, you see the transfer portal deployed in a lot of different ways. Iowa State took 8 transfers. West Virginia got to have 50 because they got a new coach. UCF's got to have a bunch. But when you watch good teams do it, or teams that think they're going to be good, like Texas Tech, Tech went in the transfer portal after production. That's what they wanted, was production. You have to prove your production, which is probably the best way there. But then there's other ones that are like, oh, well, this guy was at Alabama and he doesn't want to be anymore, so he must be good and we'll see. But that all doesn't work. There's no formula to it. So to your point, it's way harder because, okay, Tech brought back all this production. Well, why did it leave? That's the other thing. You guys why didn't the other place do anything they could to keep them if they really wanted them? Unless you're talking about some of their FCS guys that they got. But, if you get a guy from Clemson, you're like, well, why did Clemson let him go? Right?
Well, absolutely. I mean, a lot of this, too, is coming down to budgets for these other schools in terms of what they can afford to spend. Can they keep a guy? How much is a guy motivated by money? What is the culture of that program? I mean, Matt Campbell said at Big 12 Media Days that basically his top 20 guys could have left for more money, but he was able to retain him and keep him because of the culture. It doesn't mean they're not getting paid. They are getting paid. They're probably getting paid fairly, but they could have left for more money. So what are the cultures of the places these guys are leaving? Are they just motivated by the money? Is a place like Texas Tech just dangling so much cash that, a lot of these young men can't say no. Their families can't say no. Every situation's different. And then the other part of it on the front end is going to be, how do coaches do developing basically a new program every year? That's what they have to do. Mike Gundy really wanted no part of this. I don't think Kyle Whittingham wanted any part of this. Matt Campbell and so far Chris Karpman have been able to avoid it with, as you mentioned, just a couple of transfers a year. But Mike Gundy's in a whole new world. He's got new coaching staff. He's got new players all over the place, and he's trying to start again from the ground up. So every situation is so unique and so different, and that's what makes this very difficult to project as well.
Pete, good stuff. Appreciate it. The good news now, we have the preseason polls. We can digest and chew on them, set up the games coming up in a couple of weeks, K-State, Iowa State, and more. Eventually, the first full weekend. We do appreciate what you do at Heartland Sports. Thank you.
You bet. Keep up the great work, guys. Thanks so much.
You too. So Kim Coulter was discussing. Someone, who was it that brought up, they don't like the conference games being at neutral sites. For example, A&M Arkansas for the longest time, Tech and Baylor for the longest time, and now K-State, Iowa State in Dublin, Ireland. Then Kim brought up, I hated the Butt Bowl being played in Arlington. And, of course, it was at the Cotton Bowl, too. I thought about the Butt Bowl is when they were in overtime against Tech at McLean Stadium. That was the Butt Bowl because it was the snap that should have been counted, but the officials said the whistle blew before the play started.
Well, I think the butt bowl is just the
BU
whole,
and TT, yeah.
But Tech fans in particular should have hated it because Baylor historically has not played well in Lubbock. Now that was different the last time that they went there, but
sure as hell was.
Yeah, it was very different the last time that they went there. But when they had decided to move that game to Dallas, Baylor hadn't won in Lubbock since it felt like there was a Lubbock. The last time they were there was just like the old saloons where like people kicked in and dusted their boots off.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it felt like. So yeah, I can see if you're a Tech fan, you're like, hey, wait a minute. They don't beat us here. Why are we giving this up? Why are we giving them such a shorter trip to do this? It's
Tech has a nice chunk of people, obviously
in Dallas, but
why would you give up a home game?
Yeah, like the whole thing was, it would make them come out here. It's tough to play here, and AT&T Stadium is I don't know. I've been to 100 games there, and I've never it's an amazing place and it's beautiful. But as far as a place where you can feel the emotion constantly in a stadium, it doesn't really feel like that.
Yeah,
it's very.
It can be a little antiseptic.
Yes, it's like it's the video game. Like you're in a video game. That's what it feels like when you're at AT&T Stadium, which is amazing. And I love covering games there. I love going there. But there's only been a couple games I've been to where the mood was like at a fever pitch. And one of those was the national championship game that they had there with Oregon and Ohio State. But that's different. So even I've been to an A&M Arkansas game there. I've been to a couple Cotton Bowls there. I've been to all those Baylor and Tech games, some Big 12 championships. And it's rare that you have that same, and neutral site games, I guess, are kind of like that. But it's particularly noticeable for me there.
I enjoy going up there, though, because it just kind of got away for a little bit. We did the show up there pregame, and it wasn't far to get back either. But and so thank you to Pete Mundo for being a part of it, and Heartland Sports. Chris Karpman covers Arizona State. He made a comment over the weekend. He thought that ASU, the Sun Devils, the defending Big 12 champions, would be probably at about 14 when the AP poll came out, and they're at 11, so a little bit higher up than maybe. Craig, what did you think? Who did you think, and where did you think the highest-ranked Big 12 team might be? I never thought anybody would be inside the top 10, but where did you think?
I thought everybody's been riding Arizona State's jock so much, and not saying that they shouldn't be, but just that's the clear cut. Everybody's now talking about them. Everybody's wanting to have Kenny Dillingham on their talk shows now, and so they've definitely seen an image upgrade over the last year, and I think they're that cool, hot team with a young, hip head coach, and so they were pretty easy to pick as the favorites with the quarterback coming back and just the whole lack of certainty around the rest of the Big 12. So that one was a pretty easy pick, actually. I thought that perhaps somebody would get their skis a little ahead of them when it came to Texas Tech. I wondered how high they would be just based off this offseason. Think that they deserve to be ranked, and I wouldn't have beat and moaned about it if they had been a little bit higher. I was not going to be sitting here going, yeah, sure, they should be top 15 to start the season, but I don't think there's much difference in 24 and 19 or something like that. Yeah. So somewhere in that vicinity, I figured is where you would start to see the Big 12 teams 15 on back. Kind of, we were talking earlier with the setup of it all, but I did wonder how much love Tech was going to get. I figured Arizona State would be the favorite, and then everybody else, kind of like the poll, would just have a sprinkling of their support depending on kind of what your favorite flavor is, if you're a big believer in Sawyer Robertson or in Avery Johnson or in whatever. So, Arizona State was the pick, and then I said somewhere around the top 15. So they're a little higher than I thought. They're right there outside the top 10, and I think given how open-ended this year is, that's probably a good spot for them. It's a great spot for them to start off with, but probably a respectable spot just given what we know about other teams in front of them. I don't think they got disrespected. I think they're right where they should be, and maybe even got a little bit more of a bump than we thought.
11-3 last year, finished number 7 in the country after being basically buried below most everybody in college football, especially in the Big 12. Arizona State finished up the year at number 7. So you can rise from wherever you're ranked. That's the good thing about the college football playoff. You can start unranked. You could start 11, end up being in the playoff, or you could be number 1 or 2. There was that stat, remember, that we brought up, I guess it was last week. I thought we brought up last week about any of the polls. How many teams start off in the top 25, and what was it, 9 or 12 last year? We did it on Friday, Paul. Was it 9 or 12 teams last year ranked in the top 25 that were unranked by the end of the year?
Yeah.
OU and USC, among many others. So it's
you
just
mean Wednesday, which was your Friday last week.
Yeah, me too. That Wednesday of last week. You're right. All right. When we come back, Chris Karpman on Arizona State and much, much more. We'll also have a couple of segments where we get to a topic or two that we have not yet brought up. The chat room is going. Twitter rolling as well. If you are in wherever you're watching us, listening to us, please subscribe if you don't mind to the channel as we continue to rise as we hit the great time of college football. And this is 365 Sports.
Alan Samuels House of Travel is a full-service travel agency with highly experienced travel consultants plus support staff with over a combined 150 years in the travel business. They are ready to take care of any travel situation for you, your family, and your business, and with the kind of knowledge to complete a seamless itinerary trip start to finish. They will search for the best deal to accommodate your budget from air to cars, ship to shore, hotel, and even meeting space. Name a destination and they've been there. They know the places to go, and international and missionary travel is one of their unique specialties. Alan Samuels House of Travel, celebrating 50 years in business. Call Connie, Sherry, Linda, or Bambi at 254-776-2560 or find them on Facebook or at houseoftravelwaco.com. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8302.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at alliancebanktexas.com. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Want to send a message to the show? Jump in the Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue chat room.
Chris Karpman, Sun Devil source, he joins us. He covers Arizona State. 365 Sports rode along today. We now have had both the coaches now poll, and today the AP poll is out, and Chris joins us on 365 Sports. Chris, thank you very much. I saw a note from over the weekend. You mentioned you thought Arizona State would be around 14. They're 11. Did that surprise you a little bit? And I think that shows a lot of respect for what they did last year.
A little bit surprising. Yeah, I thought ASU would be more in the mid-teens. Typically, there's a bias in these polls that favors the blue bloods, I tend to think. And ASU has a very good team, returning 2/3 of its starters, but people know that Cam Scaboo departed, and he was the best player on the team and the catalyst for them reaching the CFP. So I presume that ASU would be a little bit lower than it turned out to be. Kenny Dillingham said today after practice that polls are kind of irrelevant. At the end of the day, you have to go out there and show what you're capable of. ASU wasn't on anyone's radar last year, being picked 16th in the Big 12 before winning the conference and advancing on to a CFP team. So you have to put it out there on the field and get it done, but it is a recognition that ASU is expected to be a good team again.
Chris, obviously the question is, how do you replace a guy like Cam Scaboo? Not just, handing the ball off and getting yards, but the emotional presence that he brought, which is maybe bigger to them. Finding somebody who can do that, like Kanye Udo and some of the other guys they have, or is it finding that spiritual leader that can rally them in the points of, all right, let's put it on my back?
Yeah, I think the culture is the most important thing. The leadership. That's what, as much as anything, took them to the Big 12 championship last season. And they have those guys. Sam Levitt, Ben Coleman on offense. You see them every single day demonstrating leadership, asking their players to give more, to be better, to execute at a higher level. Just today, I was at practice, and Xavier Alford, their defensive leader, a sixth-year player who was a first-team all-conference player, was getting on his fellow defensive guys on the sidelines because they weren't animated enough, weren't energetic enough, cheering on their teammates, calling out things so that everybody was hearing what was going on. And this is a daily habit. These are guys that are very much more process-driven than they are results-oriented, and I think that's the biggest thing that could allow them to return to the Big 12 championship game this year. And then from an actual on-the-field standpoint, you have to replace Cam Scaboo in the aggregate. And what I mean by that is Sam Levitt's completion percentage has to go from 62 to in the high 60s. They have to be able to pass the ball more with their rhythm passing game on first and second downs rather than be maybe quite as reliant on handing the football off. They have to have more big plays between Jordan Tyson, Jaron Hamilton, some of the backs that have that capability like Kyson Brown and Raleek Brown and Shimon Taylor and Kamari Anderson at tight end. And then they have to be better on special teams at flipping the field in their punt game, at turning drives into field goals. Jesus Gomez, the kicker addition, is going to be an upgrade significantly from what they had last year in that respect. And then defensively, more sacks, more 3-and-outs, more takeaways, and getting off the field quicker, which puts the offense into a more advantageous situation. They have to do all those things to be able to overcome the loss of someone like Cam Scaboo.
Chris, I think you kind of mentioned some of it there as far as like completion percentage, but we've heard so many positive things about the talented quarterback there in Sam Levitt. How do you see him being better, after last year, heading into this season as a player and if need be, as a leader as well?
Well, he's been compared by Kenny Dillingham to Bo Nix, a player that he coached at Auburn and Oregon. Bo Nix was a low 60s completion percentage player several years before he had a 79% insane completion percentage in his last year at Oregon. And so Levitt has to make that sort of a progression in terms of reading pre-snap cues, picking up coverages, hitting the check down option, the hot route, knowing how to just accept a short gain versus running around, extending plays, trying to make bigger things happen. And so I think the mental game is the biggest area where Sam Levitt can improve. He has very good physical tools. He's accurate. He's a 3-level thrower. He has the ability to run for first downs, extend plays. But it's really more being cerebral, taking what's available to you, playing against some of these defenses that you've already seen once before, understanding their coverage types and what you have to do to be able to get your team into a good offensive rhythm that gives you some longer scoring drives.
Chris, is Dillingham one that plays mind games, or is he pretty straightforward?
Well, I think he does play some mind games. He likes to make reference of what people are saying about his team that are maybe negative, or that they're hyping some other team. For example, he reposted some messages about Texas Tech, like how Texas Tech's put out some stuff on social media about how much better that it is and what it has been able to accomplish in the transfer portal. And then he sort of mocks polls. And so he does things that are designed to try to allow his team to not feel comfortable resting on its laurels. But at the same time, he's very honest and candid in terms of what he tells his players that they're not doing well enough. So like today, they came back from Camp Tonazona yesterday, and then this morning's practice started out pretty sluggish. He gathered everybody around and he said, guys, we can just take off our pads and have a lighter day today if you need that to kind of get you back on the right track. And the players said, no, we don't want that. And then they actually had a much more lively and intense practice thereafter. So I think that what he says to the team, he then carries forward into what he says in the media scrums and to reporters afterwards. And so everybody kind of knows the way he articulates himself about his perspective on the team is genuinely how he feels.
What do you feel about the schedule this year and how it works out for them? Last year they were able to sneak up on everybody, but again, this is a tight league, and they won close games last year. There were those big moments. How do they prevent the swing from happening where it goes back on them?
Yeah, it's not easy. It's probably not as difficult as maybe some other teams. Just given that Texas State is here, and so they have one more home game, I believe, this year versus a road game. But you got to go to Baylor. That's really tough. You got to go to Utah. That's extremely tough with the transfer quarterback coming in who's pretty talented, new offensive coordinator there. Got to go to Iowa State late in the season. That's probably going to be a really big game that could ultimately have some impact on deciding who the conference champion is. I noticed that PFF put out a thing that predicted 7 Big 12 teams to be over their over-under win total in Vegas betting or whatever. And ASU was going to play 5 of the 6 teams other than itself that was on the list. So something has to give there. A lot of these teams that are expected to be better than even maybe the way that they're perceived right now, ASU has to play them. And so it's going to be difficult. The middle of that schedule, games like 4, 5, 6, and 7, I think is going to really tell us a lot about where ASU is going to be at the end of the year.
So, Chris, I'd imagine that you're getting as much traffic as you have in a while because people are so excited about the team. And I was just curious kind of how you saw that sort of leap up last year, the level of interest, and what has it led to in terms of what you're seeing now and people being excited, as well as just, year 2 in the Big 12 and kind of how that's all sort of found its way to, being normal, I suppose.
Yeah, great question. I appreciate it. There was a definite downturn in the last year to 2 years of the Herm Edwards era. Things really bottomed out there with a 3-9 record. And then the roster was in such bad shape that Kenny Dillingham, with the injury problems that they also had, they were 3-9 again. That's the first time that's ever happened since World War II. So they had a terrible 2 to 3 year stretch. Our membership dropped off maybe 10 to 15%. And a lot less traffic on the site, but last year was a massive resurgence. As a matter of fact, we reached our all-time high in subscribers in January, right after the Peach Bowl. And now with camp underway, we're having a promotion and stuff. We're like back to basically at that number. I remember our message board, our member message board in December last year was one of the top 5 or so most active, most traffic, most posts on the 24/7 Sports Network. We're number 1 in sales in the Big 12 since camp started. And they went up to Camp Tonazona for a scrimmage on Saturday. It's a really big annual event that's pretty special here. It's about 90 minutes away from downtown Phoenix. And there were more people that were there than almost any of the years that I've been going for the last 20 years. I would say it was a top 2 or 3 year for turnout. So people are absolutely more fired up, more excited, more interested in what's going on, paying attention, and that's translating to the type of numbers that we're seeing on the site.
How far away is that camp from the campus?
It's about 87 miles exactly, I believe it is, from ASU's campus to Camp Tonazona. You got to go through Payson, Arizona, which is about 65 miles or so outside the valley. It's an hour, so it's at elevation. It's over 5,000 foot elevation. They have this field that is at the base of a few mountains with pine trees. It's very different than what a lot of people would associate with the desert and with the Phoenix area. It's much more like what you might imagine if you were to go to the Grand Canyon or Sedona or something like that, minus some of those amazing natural visuals. But the thing that I took from Camp Tonazona is that place stays relatively the same every year, but college football changes so much with the transfer portal and coaching staffs leaving and everything. And so there's something that's a throwback that is, I think, a culture building and a camaraderie sort of establishing thing that ASU made the most of last year, and I think will pay dividends this year as well.
Started in 1959 with Frank Kush, who was a badass. I mean, he was a guy that had a great run in the 70s, as you know. I looked this up because they've been sporadic, but Arizona State has had what I believe are 5 or 6 coaches win 10-plus games since Kush left. I didn't realize that. They seem like they've had their wilderness times. And then, of course, what Dillingham did was not expected. But Todd Graham had success. Cooper had success. So they've had success. Man, I bet it's fun in Tempe right now after what they did last year.
Yeah. And the thing that ASU fans feel is that success has been too fleeting.
Mm-hmm.
Dennis Erickson's first season, 2007, followed by 4 years of mediocrity. Todd Graham got off to a good start, 8-4 his first year in 2012, then back-to-back 10-win seasons. People thought, oh, maybe ASU's arrived. Oops, not. A few years later, Todd Graham gets fired. Herm Edwards comes in. They recruit Jaden Daniels and a whole bunch of other guys that are playing in the NFL now. Oops, that didn't work out. NCAA sanctions. And now Kenny Dillingham had this great season, and ASU looks like it's on the precipice of maybe becoming one of the premier teams in the Big 12, but you have to not rest on your laurels. You can't be a flash in the pan. Dillingham's talked about this quite a lot. Anybody can do it for one season. Can you do it for 2? Can you do it for 3? Can you stack that together? Can you elevate your program into a different tier? He said Clemson is a team that did it in the ACC, and ASU is trying to be that team in the Big 12.
What is it like to cover them now with new athletic director, new head? It felt like the previous regime was a bit, at least from the outside looking in, kind of crazy pants, or didn't really know or care enough about being a competitive athletic department compared to where they are now.
Yeah, I think that Ray Anderson was out over his skis in a lot of respects, and it was his good friend Herm Edwards that he hired, and they got themselves into a whole heck of a lot of trouble because of really brazenly doing stupid things and caught up to them. I do think that Kenny Dillingham is a very smart, savvy person who understands college football at a high level, being under Mike Norvell at Memphis and Florida State, being under Gus Malzahn at Auburn. He really has a cerebral nature to him, and Graham Rossini, ASU's athletic director, I think is a lot more sophisticated, even though he's certainly a lot younger. He doesn't have this sort of an experience at a high level in another athletic department. He's a pretty sharp guy, and those guys are working well together, I think, to figure out what they need to do to inject more energy into the department. They're trying to get about $8 or $9 million more raised to build an indoor practice facility that can replace their inflated bubble. And the reason is not just so that they can have that for football, but also as a premier tailgating venue that they've likened to maybe being like the 16th hole at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. So something that really gets higher end people, boosters, and people really interested in tailgating and making ASU football games the place to be.
Yep, no question. Chris, great to talk to you, man. Thank you very much. Enjoy, and we'll talk to you again down the road. The season coming up around the corner. 11th ranked Arizona State, the highest ranked Big 12 team. Chris, thank you for your time.
My pleasure, guys. Thank you.
They had a run with Frank Kush. He was fantastic. And they were 12-0 in 1975. And they were in the WAC forever. And then they've had 6 coaches win 10 games. And Chris brought up some of Darryl Rogers won 10 games. John Cooper won 10 games. Bruce Snyder, remember him? He won 10 games. Dennis Erickson won 10 games. Todd Graham, he mentioned some of now Dillingham. But they haven't been able, as he mentioned, sustain it the way they did back when Frank Kush, who was a legend, did it.
Who told us we had to get Dennis Erickson on? Somebody did recently.
We did?
Somebody that played for him.
Phil Bennett?
No, it was a quarterback. Somebody who played quarterback for him. But we got to get Dennis Erickson on now that you say that.
It was somebody. I can't remember who it was, though, as far as who the actual person was. But Okay, all right. A couple of super chats. Let's get to them. And the first one, retired stockbroker, thanks for learning me something today. Besides spelling English in the alphabet.
Oh, I'm sure.
No, Chris he's just joking. Chris has got that sense of humor. But thanks for learning me something today. All right. Also, super chat, Stormy Cyclone. Appreciate yours too. Thanks for the laughs last week on the Sophie Cunningham discussion. What I've learned about her, and a lot of people like her, and she's funny and all that, but she is not afraid to make fun of herself. I think that's probably the coolest part about her, is that she has a tremendous sense of humor.
You know what was the big bummer to me on that story? I mean, other than, it was just gloriously stupid, and Craig is probably so glad he wasn't here when we talked about it, was that it was just some lame meme coin crypto bro stunt.
on the dildos?
Yes.
Yeah.
It was just like, oh, come on, man. Like, this couldn't get any stupider. Like, it did. It found its way to the bottom.
Yeah, I mean, I saw some of that while I was gone, and it was humorous when it wasn't some crypto scheme thing. I know it wasn't humorous for the players and some of their fans or whatnot, but it's just some dude from the outside looking in. It was pretty funny there for a couple of days, and yet I knew that somehow, some way they're going to have to put a stop to it because it is super disrespectful. But I did see the humor in it initially, and then once it turned out that it wasn't just some random groups of people. And not even just people who maybe met on, like, I don't know, Reddit or something, and they all got to talking to each other on freaking Twitch or whatever. Yeah. It turned out to be, some crypto douchebags. So immediately lost all interest in the story. As soon as I heard that, I was like, I don't care anything about the story from here on out. Yeah. Don't care at all. That's just, when I hear those buzzwords like crypto, bro, and all that, I'm totally tuned out to it. I did see her on a bunch of commercials, though. What's the refi business? I guess you refinance.
Yeah, she's at a family's home. Or
yeah,
whatever.
I saw like that commercial a bunch. So I don't know if those just started up here recently, but they were all over the place.
Arby's. She
Arby's.
basically led Arby's to we should have her endorse us when she was down in a couple of Arby's because she had been on she had gotten doped up a little bit for like something, I don't know, dental work or something like that.
Yeah.
That was like the 15-minute video you sent that I put my foot down. And I was like, if you ever send anything to me like that again, I'm leaving the group chat, because it was legit just her.
It was funny though. You get just not much.
I just have a different sense of humor.
I think it was 5 minutes.
It was 5 minutes, but it felt like 15. And so I just have a different sense of humor. But yeah, I mean, she's clearly very popular and has quite the following. And I'll watch other stuff. I just wasn't interested in watching her just eat food on my screen for 5 minutes. So I'm sure plenty were, and plenty will watch whatever it is that she's doing from here on out, because she's definitely found herself a following. And I go back to the dudes that were part of the whole prank, I guess it was, and it's like, was that worth getting arrested for? I mean, I don't know. I don't know if Bond's really light and it doesn't even really matter or what, but that was a much cooler story when it wasn't some sort of PR stunt, or I don't know if it was a cool story for some people, but it was a more entertaining story, or no, interesting story, because you did wonder what is behind this, and then you find out, oh, it's what's behind like half the stuff that we think is cool, and then we immediately find out it's not. It's all just some scam to promote some BS.
Do you know that they started having odds on the color?
Yeah, I saw that
of the sex toy that would be hitting the court. That got to be out of control.
Well, it was always going to be green because that's the name of the stupid
crypto.
Oh,
okay. All right. So they didn't just like someone didn't throw like one that was
it wasn't
clear.
No, it was their plan the whole stupid time.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's over. I think that's kind of calmed down. It appears as if that has calmed down.
Once people started getting arrested for it, people were like, I don't really want to do this anymore. This doesn't sound as fun.
Yeah, and then also when you find out like, oh, this is just a promotional scam for a crypto scam, like that's what it is. It's just, yeah.
Did you guys ever eat a lot of Arby's when you were younger?
Yes.
I freaking loved them. That cheese, the way it melted. I could eat a couple of them back when I just ate anything.
Hey, look. They used to have in Tallahassee 5 for $5 on Sundays.
Oh, Lord.
So you could get 5 beef and cheddars for $5. So
could you ever eat one without the little sauce that they put on top of it? Because that always was pretty good too.
A solid 5 for $5. We would do it in the dorm, like especially when I was an RA. We would do it in the dorm all the time because in the summer we had a cafeteria that was only open at half the time, because they were cutting people's hours and trying to save money. So we had to find every like fast food. So if there's 10 of us, you can get $10, you'll all get a sandwich, or you can get $20 and everybody gets 2, and pool our money.
Mine was Arby's or Taco Bell.
Oh, well, that was the other one. The Arby's was right down the street from the Taco Bell. The Taco Bell had 20 tacos for $10, and we would go do that all the time.
Yeah. When we come back, a couple of other notes, including head coaches in college football, and when they were ranked inside the top 10 and they ended up the season unranked, what does that list include of the player or the coaches currently in college football? And the FCS preseason poll came out. We'll have that and more. This is 365 Sports. It is the end of the summer blowout sale at Allen Samuels in Waco. It is quality pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs, priced to fit your budget, including college is right around the corner and you're still looking for that vehicle to send your son or daughter to college to drive. And so those are available right now with great prices. Your friend in the car business, Allen Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat. 1999 Jeep Wrangler with only 85,000 miles on it, lift kit, custom wheels, and off-road tires, ready to roll for just $14,725. Also, they have not only the quality pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs, they have the brand new Ram trucks, Jeep, the Wagoneer, Cherokee, Grand Cherokee, and all that. They got it all. And financing available. All of them have been inspected to make sure that you could buy it, drive off the lot with it, and have fun with it. Ram 1500, work ready, 2500 HD, top dollar right now for those as well. And trade-ins, they're doing that well. They want to even stock up more of the pre-owns. Ted Teague, general manager and CEO, David Gray, sales manager at Allen Samuels, Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Ram, Fiat, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
At Sturdy Steel, we build more than grandstands and press boxes. We build the spaces where communities come together. Based in Texas and serving communities nationwide, we're proud of our reputation for dependable, high-quality work and strong client relationships that stand the test of time. From concept to installation, our team of skilled drafters, welders, and installers takes pride in delivering seating solutions designed to last. With a focus on dependability, transparency, and service, we are here to make the unique needs of architects, contractors, schools, and venues across the country. We ensure every project is seamless, sturdy, and ready for generations of fans to enjoy. That's Sturdy Steel.
Automatic Chef is your local vending, office coffee, and micro market provider, delivering outstanding service to break rooms all over Central Texas for over 50 years. Automatic Chef brings the best products to your location at the best prices. With hundreds of choices in fresh food, coffee, snacks, and drinks, let Automatic Chef tailor a break room solution to your needs. Make break time great again with Automatic Chef. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchef.com.
Baylor alumni are more than 160,000 strong. When we all join hands to support our university, we don't just move the needle, we move mountains. Working together, we create life-changing opportunities for students on the field, in the classroom, in the laboratory, and in life for generations to come. So get connected, get involved. Learn how at baylor.edu/alumni.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Penny Clinic Men's Healthcare in Woodway is now proud to offer you men an exceptional weight management body sculpting product called semaglutide, also known as Ozempic or Wegovy. Semaglutide is an FDA-approved weight management medication. Once-a-week injections of this powerful medication offers an average body fat weight loss of 20% within the first year of treatment. In addition to body sculpting, semaglutide also normalizes blood sugars and has the clinical research proof of reducing blood pressure, cholesterol, stroke, and heart attack risk. If you're like most men and you have stubborn fat that will just not respond to typical diets and exercise, then help is finally here. Semaglutide, affordable, highly effective. Google search Penny Clinic Waco and reach out to the Penny Clinic team today for a free consultation with Dr. Petty to see if semaglutide is right for you. Go to pennycliniclowt.com.
This is 365 Sports. Enjoying the show? Hit the like button and subscribe.
So Brett McMurphy will join us in just a moment. Here's a nugget from him. He's got all sorts of these nuggets. Active coaches who had preseason top 10 teams finish that specific year unranked, with the preseason ranking in parentheses. Sharon Moore last year at Michigan. Norvell last year, Florida State. Lincoln Riley at USC, 6th in the country. Brent Venables, Oklahoma. Aranda, after they spectacular 12-2 and 21, number 10, would they go 6-7? Matt Campbell, Iowa State, and then you have Franklin, Cristobal, Brian Kelly, and Lane Kiffin, who was number 1 2012 at USC, and that year they ended up unranked.
Yeah, they were, that Lane Kiffin, of course, then he got run out of there really fast. Did not click there at USC. I don't know why. I know that they were the defending national champ, but ranking Michigan 9th last year when they had no quarterback who'd played anything, and they were starting a walk-on in game 1 is ridiculous to me. It's ridiculous. I know they had a really talented team, but putting the number 9, put him number 20.
That was almost like criminal. And here's the thing about that. It wasn't as if Harbaugh, you was leading up to him eventually moving on to the NFL, and so you had somebody in waiting. Moore, of course, has some meat on the bones, but yeah, they were not. There's no way with all of the turnover and all the drama they dealt with that they were a top 10 team the next year, and they proved it. They weren't. And of course, there's the list. Preseason ranking in parentheses, preseason top 10, but then finished unranked.
Yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of things like that. I find it interesting that Kiffin was number 1 and didn't even make it the next season in full before getting fired. So you were number 1 to start 2012, finish unranked, and didn't even make it the full season the following year. I mean, you talk about a tailspin in whatever that would have been, 18 months or so, to go from best team in the country, according to the voters. Again, preseason though, so that's not always rocket science. But yeah, I mean, it's a speedy fall from grace, and obviously got rehabbed in the Saban clinic, and then, has gone on and done great things at Ole Miss. But yeah, that's a crazy fall. Number 1 to out of a job 2 years later. Aranda in 22, that was a team that just didn't do what it needed to do in the offseason prior, and honestly has led us to just not even really knowing what to think of them as a program, really. I mean, should they be good? Can they be good?
It was an every other year deal. Yeah.
Like, are they really good? I don't know. Like, any given year anymore, I can't tell, because every year with him's a new adventure. I mean, it's 8 wins, and then it's not making a bowl game, and it's 12 wins, and it's like all over the place. There's no consistency, and I think that's the most maddening thing now in terms of Aranda, is just you don't know how good he really is, because it's so up and down. But that year they definitely and admitted as much multiple times after the fact, they just did not recruit the way they needed to or address what they needed to address that offseason. Should have hit the portal a lot harder, and then maybe a lot of things are different after that. But yeah, it's interesting to see that. And Sharon Moore just a year ago, Mike Norvell as well. I'm very curious about those two programs. Michigan getting a lot of love. Florida State, I think people are very much like cautiously optimistic. Whereas with Michigan, they're like, yeah, Michigan's still really great. Just they're gonna have a better quarterback, and they'll be this and that. But it's gonna take some more convincing, obviously, for the Noles.
Yeah, Baylor with Aranda 2-7, 12-2, 6-7, 3-9, and 8-5. So who knows what that might mean with what they are expected to be pretty good. This year, just outside the top 25. And Brett McMurphy with us on 3 Sports. He joins us on 365 Sports. Brett and I traded a text earlier today, and I still can't believe it, Brett. And we had Roger Wallace, who does color analyst work for UT, that in all their history, when they won 3 national titles in like 6 or 7 years, they've never been ranked number 1 in the country in a coaches or preseason AP poll. That still kind of blows my mind.
Yeah, they have not been number 1. They've been number 2. They were number 4 last year in the preseason poll. But yeah, have never been number 1 until this year, which is not necessarily a good thing. 19 of the last 21 preseason number 1 teams did not win the national title. So,
damn.
Congrats, Longhorns. You're playing for second, I guess.
Brett, the AP and the coaches poll obviously always line up a little bit different. Have you ever had any feeling over who's more qualified to do it and who can see more stuff, the writers or the coaches?
So you're asking me if I'm more qualified than the coaches?
I guess that's not a fair question, the way I put it.
No. Is that like 95 miles per hour right over the heart of the plate? I appreciate that. Absolutely, I'm more qualified. Yeah. And the coaches would admit that. And look, it's just not me, but okay, really it is me. But no, I mean, we see more games, and coaches admit that. When you talk to them, they're like, look, what do you think about whatever team it is? If that team is not on their schedule, they like literally have no idea about what that team does. They haven't seen them play. Even if it's a team that's further down their schedule, they're like, well, they're still a few weeks away. I really haven't seen much of them or whatever. So, yeah, as far as, kind of judging the strengths or weaknesses of a team, absolutely. The writer's poll is more subjective. I think it's more thorough. And, quite frankly, a lot of coaches probably would admit this, at least privately, maybe not publicly. A lot of them don't fill them out. It's the sports information directors, it's somebody on staff. And really the only ones they really worry about is the last one, because that's the only one that's public. So you see how they voted. And so that one, I think they probably have a lot more hands-on with, because obviously, if Sarkisian votes Oklahoma 25th and they're ranked 5th by everyone else, it's going to raise a lot of hell. So, but during the season, those coaches spend. I've spent more time answering this question than they do filling out their top 25 bracket already.
Brett, I was curious, do you have a particular method, especially when it comes to that first poll, the preseason poll of how you rank teams?
I really don't. I mean, it's supposed to be, and everybody does it differently, but I look at it, it's supposed to be the teams you perceive as the best teams entering the season. Some people look at it as, well, it's supposed to be predictive. Here's your 25 teams you think you're going to end up the year in this spot. It's hard not to think that way, but I kind of just think of it as going into the season. These are the teams that I see or that I think are the best teams. Obviously, as we play games, that changes a lot. So that's kind of how I do it. For me, my top 7, which were the top 8, top 7 or 8, which pretty much everyone had some variation of Texas, Penn State, Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State, Notre Dame, Alabama, and Oregon. That's 8 teams. Like, you literally could have told me you have any of those teams picked as your number 1 team. I would have absolutely no problem with that. I think all of those top 8 teams have a lot of warts, a lot of issues, and some maybe bigger than others. That's what we're going to find out. And of that group of 8 teams, you've only got 2 of those 8, which is kind of surprising, that you have a starting quarterback returning. And obviously that's Penn State with Drew Aller and Clemson with Cade Klubnik. So the other 6 highly ranked teams, we know who is probably going to be that starting quarterback, but we don't have a season worth of evidence, if you will, to kind of see how they're going to end up.
Which of these trends, and there's a couple of decades long that you posted today on your timeline, is the one that surprises you the most? That at least one unranked team ends up in the top 10. I think you have 29 of the last 31 years, or that every year for 22 consecutive years, a top 10 team ends up unranked. Which of those 2 surprises you the most?
Yeah, Smokey, I'd say the team that there's a top 10 team. There's an unranked team to start the year, finishes in the top 10. Because it really doesn't surprise me that we get a lot of teams wrong. When you look at the top 10 teams, there's always a team every year that falls out of the top 10. Mm-hmm. That really doesn't surprise me, because you can have injuries, you can have a number of factors that happen that impacts teams. So I can see how that happens. Now, there's currently 10 active coaches. I'm sure you saw the chart, including Dave Aranda.
Yep.
10 current coaches that have had a preseason top 10 team that finished out of the top 25. However, special mention go to 2 people. The first is Lane Kiffin, the only coach in the history of college football to have a preseason number 1 team, USC, in 2012, that finished the year unranked. That's hard to do. And second is you guys, I'm forgetting my Texas geography. I shouldn't be. Jimbo Fisher. He has made college football history, and not kind of how you want to do that. He's the only coach in college football history that has had 3 different teams that ranked in the preseason top 10 and finished the year unranked. He did that at Florida State in 2017, and he did it at Texas A&M in 2021 and 2022. So hang the banner, Jimbo. That's a tough one to beat. And real quickly, tomorrow at On 3, I compiled the 5 most underrated and overrated teams in the college football playoff era. So for the last 11 years, and this is based simply on where teams were ranked at the start of the year and where they finished the season whether they were ranked or not. I'll give you a little teaser here. There's 83 teams that have received votes in either the preseason or final poll of the current 136 teams. Baylor is neither 25 most overrated or 25 most underrated. So they're in that middle gap, which is not bad. They've basically done what they've expected to do each year. But again, partly because of Jimbo, special recognition to Texas A&M. The past 4 years, Texas A&M is the only school in the country that has started the season in the preseason top 25 and finished the season unranked. They're ranked, I think, 19th this year. So can they run it back again from ranked to unranked? We'll have to find out.
Man, Jimbo Fisher, that 2013 team really was something special to kind of buoy what people thought of him. This is kind of a random question, not about the rankings, but I'm curious as someone who talks to a lot of coaches, covers the landscape as well as you do. John Gruden went and spoke to Georgia this week, and it got viral. It made the rounds, and he really wants to get back into coaching. He wants to coach in the SEC. One, I don't know why he'd want to do that, because his gig right now is way easier and simpler. I know he misses coaching, but do you think he would be a good college coach at this point in his life and career?
So the first part of that, when I was at ESPN, literally every former coach that I worked with at ESPN, I don't care who it was, they all wanted to get back into coaching. Mm-hmm. Every single one of them. It is in their DNA, and that's what they want to do. So you can say, oh, he's got an easier job, he's making more money. They don't care. They're a coach, and that is what they want to do. Would Gruden be a good coach? I can't predict when loss that would end up, but I do know this. I think now, and we've seen it firsthand with Dion at Colorado. We're seeing it this year with Bill Belichick at North Carolina. There is something to that celeb coach that makes your program relevant overnight. And with the NIL paying the players and all these different things, the different media there is available now, that's a huge deal. So yeah, I think Gruden would be successful because he's certainly going to hire the right people. I mean, there's a number of coaches, I'm sure, at the NFL and the college ranks that would work with John. Look, I'm in Tampa. He's based in Tampa. He lives in Tampa. I'm sure there's a lot of schools after this year that would probably give him that opportunity. And again, kind of with Belichick, what this boils down to is not will he have the opportunity. The question is there going to be an opportunity that he would take? I don't think he's necessarily going to go, I'm going to take any job out there because that's how bad I want to coach. I think he's smart enough where he would take a job where he feels like he could succeed, or one that really fits his lifestyle, his personality, etc. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. And again, it only got 136 programs. It only takes one to reach out. But I think it'd be great for the game if Gruden, did that. It's just he'd have to return all that free gear he got from all these different schools of where he's not coaching.
That's a pretty good bit that he started with the boxes, walking into the boxes and unloading.
Damn, I wish I would have thought of that.
Yeah,
Jeez.
no, I would. Man, we would absolutely be thrilled with all that. There's also a note you have, and again, Brett McMurphy, it's at Brett_McMurphy on Twitter, on3.com, with so many nuggets and historical trends, etc. So, in the last 19 of 21 years, every national champion ranked among the AP's preseason top 7 wins it. You have a note about number 1 Texas and why you think they probably won't. Who is among the top 7 that, or is there somebody outside the top 7, that you feel like has a pretty good shot that they could win the national title? Knowing the trend is that it hasn't happened but twice in 21 years.
Yeah, David, I don't think so. I don't think so. Maybe Alabama because they're number 8, but I don't think. I mean, LSU and Miami is 9 and 10. I'm not sold on LSU. Miami last year had a generational offense, and they still couldn't win the ACC. I think actually Miami will be a better overall team this year. Their offense obviously will not match up anywhere near to what it was last year, and that's not a slide on Carson Beck. It's just how good Cam Ward was. But the defense will be vastly improved. I mean, it can't be any worse. But I don't see anyone out of the top 7, with the exception of Alabama. They were at number 8, that really could win it. It just, there's too many bodies to climb over, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And like we talked about earlier, there's always a top 10 team that falls out of the rankings. But usually that top 6, 7, 8 teams, these are teams we know a lot about. They've got a lot of solid pieces returning, solid coaches. I know if you're asking for a team, I'll say Alabama. It's kind of a cop out there at number 8.
Yeah.
But if you told me right now I could take the top 7 versus the field for the national title, I would definitely bet on the top 7.
Arizona State 11. Obviously, last year they're one of those. They unranked and they ended up 7th, and they gave Texas hell in the playoff game. Your thoughts about them? No surprise they're the top-ranked Big 12 team as far as the highest ranked in the preseason poll.
Yeah, I don't think so. Obviously they're, look, we're humans who fill this out. They return a lot, and I think, they're getting a lot of credit for what they did last year. And I'm not saying they shouldn't, but, a lot of times that's what, those folks, including myself, look at is, okay, what did they do last year? Okay, wow, they've got a boatload back from that team. So in theory, they should repeat that success. We'll have to find out. But yeah, I still think the Big 12, the most competitive conference. I think I've told you guys I'm picking Utah to win it.
Mm-hmm.
I had Utah in my top 25. They were right outside the top 25, including BYU. But I mean, I could see any of a handful of teams winning it. I have no issue with Arizona State being the top Big 12 team. But I'm also not going to be surprised if they don't win it. That's not a slide against Kenny Dillingham. That's just how competitive the Big 12 is. And I think Baylor's in a small group of teams, I think, that can win it too. It's just the margin of error is so close with all these teams that, last year's a perfect example. Arizona State, BYU. I came on here and said, well, I can't tell you who can win this thing, but I know who's not going to win it. And I said Arizona State and BYU, and Arizona State won it. BYU probably should have been in the title game.
Yeah.
So that's what makes it, so fascinating to follow the Big 12.
Brett, are you surprised that Notre Dame and Ohio State in particular are still in quarterback battles this late into it?
No, not really, because, from talking to a lot of coaches, while they perceive from the outside that, this guy's going to be the guy or that guy's going to be the guy, until they're 1,000% sure, you don't want to come out and say that. Because once you do come out and say that, and obviously they're going to tell the team, and the team sees what's going on. It doesn't surprise me that they don't come out and say, well, here's our starting guy. And also, I think a lot of times these coaches, they purposely don't release who the starter is, because nowadays the backup may say, well, screw this, I'm out of here. I'm going to transfer. I don't think that's the case at Notre Dame or Ohio State. And it also may be motivational. If you've got your supposed number 1 guy and he's getting pushed by the number 2, well, the thing you want to do is, okay, here's the starter, and then you give number 1, not that he doesn't have incentive, but now there's no longer that push that he's being pushed, because he's like, okay, I've got the number 1 job. I can sit back and relax. So I think part of it is kind of their not mind games with their teams, but I think it's just, the more they can stay locked in, competitive with these guys and put these different guys in different situations. And then there's some coaches that typically aren't going to tell us who the starters are until right before kickoff. I don't know if there was a hilarious clip from Rich Rodriguez. I love Rich Rod. he was asked about the starting quarterback, and he's not. Now, why would I tell you guys that? I don't want my opponent to know. And then he said, you know what? We're still trying to sell season tickets. You know what? You buy season tickets, I will email you our starting quarterback an hour before kickoff, so you'll know an hour before everyone else will if you buy some season tickets. So then you have the Rich Rod method.
Yeah. Last question, and this is another one of your nuggets. Vanderbilt remains the only power conference team that has never been ranked in a preseason AP top 25 poll. We know that they've had some atrocious history as far as teams, but this is the thing that surprised me. It's not that they weren't ranked, but then I went to the others receiving votes, and I expected to see Vanderbilt with a handful of votes. Are you surprised they didn't get any kind of a little bump because of Diego Pavia?
No, because apparently the three people that voted Vanderbilt to win the SEC and SEC Media Days do not have an AP vote. So I'm not one of them. But no, I mean I did. And look, if you could vote for the top 40, then probably Vanderbilt gets some votes. But
Sure.
If you're limiting it to the top 25, I mean, heck, they already have 10 teams in there. Probably others receiving votes from the SEC. So now, I'm not surprised. If it was a top 40 poll but we only ranked 25 and then did the others receiving votes, then yeah, I would see Vanderbilt out there. But look, Diego hasn't been shy. He told me at SEC Media Days. I saw he's done some other interviews and said the same thing. Their goal is to win a national championship. So more power to the Commodores. But yeah, they have been ranked at the end of the year. They are the only power school of all 68 that has not received, has not been ranked in the preseason top 25. Rutgers was the other one that I thought may not have been ranked in the preseason top 25, but they made it. I think it was about 10 or 15 years ago. They got in there for one of the preseason rankings.
Probably the Greg Schiano era one, maybe with Rutgers. Hey, Brad, as always, I appreciate it. We appreciate it. Thank you very much for your time. Always enjoy the nuggets, the historical perspective, the trends, and more. We appreciate your time. Have a great rest of the week.
Okay. Tomorrow, check out the most overrated, underrated. I'm sure no one will have a problem with that.
No. Brett McMurphy on 3 tomorrow. Again, an article about those programs who have been the most underrated based on poll history and then overrated based on poll history. Not sure who, but he's obviously leaning towards A&M being a part of it just recently.
That's fair, too. I mean, it really is as far as, where they are at the end of the year. That's definitely a name that comes to mind that makes sense. I was surprised to see Vanderbilt not pop in at like 25. If there was ever a year to do it, you think it would be this one. Diego Pavia is not coming back next year unless there's another magical lawsuit up his freaking sleeve, like his 8th grade middle school football year didn't count for some reason or something like that. But I'm sure this is leading to them recruiting well at the same time. But yeah, you thought that if there was a year to break that streak, it would be this year in the preseason poll. But they've got enough attention on them that if they start off well, I don't think it's going to be tough for them to crack their way into the top 25 eventually. Yeah. By the way, have y'all watched that SEC Netflix documentary?
Not yet, but I've heard it's very, very in depth.
I mean, have you seen a Netflix documentary?
Yeah,
it's the same. I mean, it's basically the same stuff. You know, I haven't watched all of it yet, but it's enjoyable. And if you're into college football and you're into the SEC especially, then yeah, you'll love it. But I mean, I feel like if you've seen Netflix, you kind of know the formula.
They're going to go 85% of the way where you want them to go and then stop.
Well,
or the other thing
where they kind of ham it up certain things, The
other thing that they've done is they, if you know already, like with Johnny Manziel's documentary, which I enjoyed, but it didn't give me any real new information. Right, like I didn't watch it and go, "Oh, okay."
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that. That's a really interesting twist to this. Like, for example, The Last Dance gave tons of new information, which I put up as the like kind of gold standard of sports documentaries. Of like just off the top of my head that Jordan didn't have the flu. He ate undercooked pizza and he had food poisoning. So he had
purposely undercooked pizza.
Yeah, yeah.
Pippins.
What many believe that Jazz fans out there poisoned him. There are definitely people that believe that.
Yeah. So yeah,
there's nothing worse than food. Well, that's probably among the top 2 or 3 worst things you can have.
Yeah,
is food poisoning.
I think I've had it one time that I believe.
Oh,
I don't know. I was not officially diagnosed with it, but I look back on it. I'm like, that had to be food poisoning, and that's the sickest I feel like I've ever.
It's
been
an
in my
all-day
life.
deal, and then you feel like you have no energy for 3 or 4 days. It's like having the worst type of flu
and it's
times 10.
And it's because like you don't have a fever or aches or anything,
No.
but you're afraid to put anything, including water, in your body.
Yeah.
And you need that stuff, but you're just like, I've been in this room longer.
In a fetal position.
Yeah, like here, I don't want to see porcelain ever again. I just want to be.
But then again,
in a
you
room
also
that's
get
not-
lightheaded where you feel like you should eat something because there's nothing left in your system.
Yeah.
One other note, by the way, that go ahead.
I wanted to just say, like, I think it's a fun doc. Garrett, have you watched it by any chance? Have you tried to dive into it? Okay. Obviously they don't have all the schools. Like, they don't cover everybody. There's definitely some schools that opted out, like Oklahoma and Texas were a couple of the schools that opted out. And there's like 4 others that also did not partake in this, but Alabama was one of those as well, now that I think about it. But I enjoyed it. I don't think there was anything like super earth-shattering, but if you just like sort of the Netflix doc experience, or you love the SEC, you just love college football, it doesn't have a ton of like the game action, and it's a year later, right? So we're already kind of like starting this year, but it's a nice little lead in if you like that sort of thing. So I enjoyed what I saw of it. It's not like must-see appointment television. I'm not demanding 10 new seasons. But, yeah, I was just curious if y'all had gotten around to watching that at all or not.
I'll tell you this, what I did do during the couple of days, and I've done this more often, is I watch, obviously, YouTube TV a ton, and I've watched the SEC Network, which I really haven't watched over the years much, and I watched the Big Ten Network, and, man, do they do a great job. The ACC Network channel, they do a nice job too. But the SEC, I think the best part of it, like, for example, the Big Ten was having their tour of all 32 teams in the Big Ten. And it's good, but it's like anything else you see. The SEC Network, the historical, the history, the features and all that is just tremendous. It's tremendous. It makes you really just get pissed off. The Big 12, the Longhorn Network derailed that. OU had their regional network too. But the Big 12 really missed the boat when they didn't do that from the beginning.
Yeah, well, they didn't all have a lot of say in it. They kind of were at the whim of their more powerful, and we know how all that worked out. And now Texas is opting out of the SEC Netflix special, which I'm sure will only drive up the price for them and Oklahoma and Alabama and everybody else to be a part of it next year, and let everybody else have this trial run, and then you'll be the big stories, the new schools that are brought on in season 2, because I don't think this is anything but a regular series now. Like, why wouldn't it be, right? I mean, why would you get embedded and not do this every single year? So I think it's something that's going to stick around, and it's cool. I mean, you see coaches' houses, and, stuff like that. I do think it's not, I'm just not as into that sort of the stuff. And so that's not as of interest to me. But if you are, then yeah, you'll love like the behind the scenes. And I think just getting different perspectives on, like, seeing Clark Lee coach a little bit is interesting. Or Billy Napier, knowing the pressure he's under, kind of trying to navigate things. So
I watched that one intently. The Florida season.
You did watch that?
Yeah. With
Any Given Saturday, or
I'm
talking about the SEC series. Yeah.
Oh no, I'm talking about. I guess maybe I did. That's when they went through the with Mertz and all that, and then the Lagway, and I guess that's part of the one I was watching that and didn't know exactly what I was watching, but it was very intense. It was very good.
Yeah.
Very, very good.
And that's what I'm interested to see, because I hear he was very candid about the decision, which many times they're not. And we talked about it a lot last year of like, look, you have to. Graham Mertz is one of the most puzzling players I've ever seen in my life, in that he wasn't a net negative and he wasn't a net positive. He was just there. Like, he wasn't getting them beat, but he also wasn't helping them win. Like, it's such a weird thing. Like, and then there's some guys that can kind of be both at the same time. Like they're keeping both teams in the game. Graham Mertz wasn't that guy. He just
well.
Oh, dude, you see him in the locker room, and he like doesn't even know how to process like what's or like he wasn't just him either, but like it's all like the promise, and then like they start off the way they did, and it's like
but they would put Lagway in, and he immediately throw a deadly pick.
Yeah,
which kind of makes you as a fan like, why you blame that on Napier? You don't want Mertz. You bring that Lagway in and he throws a deadly pick or two. And that's why it's so that's just a hard job, man.
But he was not like, here's the thing about Mertz is like he was very clearly not a guy who should have been in the SEC in that kind of level.
I think a lot of people said that at the time too. Like what is
So like when you went to go get a quarterback, you should have maybe been slightly like, I'm not saying that you have to go out and get, Jalen Hurts or something like that, who's in the annals of great transfer quarterbacks, but you could have been a little more aggressive to go do that or just started the freshman anyway.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, so
one final note on the AP Top 25 poll to wrap it up. We'll come up with a couple more notes. Appreciate Brett McMurphy. He doesn't do a lot of segments on talk radio or in this case, YouTube and podcasts that we have with the channel. 26, 27, and 28 were BYU, Utah, and Baylor. So 4 teams ranked in the top 25 and then 3 right outside, but not close to Boise State at 25. They had 191 votes. BYU had 156, just outside the top 25.
Who else would have lost their starting quarterback and been a borderline top 25 team? I mean, there are definitely some of those in the top 25 that would have been that, but I don't think BYU is just necessarily that program that you say like, oh yeah, they can just lose a starter and be totally fine at quarterback, but that's where they find themselves primarily because he wasn't the biggest reason why they won games all the time last year. That's why I think most of the consensus opinion has been like, yeah, his loss will be felt to some degree, but how profound that loss will be, I don't know, and I don't think anybody's worried that it's the type of loss that'll make them fall off the edge of a cliff suddenly. Like they're going to be pretty much who they are anyways, and he might have propelled them a little bit further compared to a freshman or something like that, but is it the difference in being a top 25 team or not? Not necessarily, and I think that shows that as well, that they're still, despite that, still looked at as a top 30 team in the country, and they'll win some games with their defense and win some games with their running backs like LJ Martin. That's great for BYU that it's not like it kills the whole fun of the season of like, oh my God, we lost this guy. Like we're totally screwed now. And that's not every program out there. That's for sure.
Let me ask you this on the SEC the series, whatever you're talking about. Is that the one that looks like you're also watching EA Sports sometimes?
Watching EA, I don't know.
The players and the coach are not really; those are not always their video.
Yeah, I think I know. I get what you're saying. Yeah, I mean it's not the best as far as like the in game and
like it looks like it's almost like.
Well, the camera's all over the place. It's not like watching a regular game.
Yeah,
it's the camera's like behind the guy, and it's from the sideline shot, and it's like, so I can see where the camera's kind of all over and different angles and whatnot. So I haven't watched, like, I want to be clear, I haven't watched through like every single minute of every single second, but I have seen bits and pieces there, and I was just curious if you guys have got around to that.
Yeah, I have. Okay, among the top 10, who has a new quarterback? Does Texas with Arch Manning? Yeah, okay. Penn State?
No.
Ohio State?
Yes.
Clemson?
No.
Georgia?
Yes.
Notre Dame?
Yes.
Oregon?
Yes.
Alabama?
Yes.
LSU?
No.
Miami?
Yes.
So 7 of 10 without the dog from last year, although Arch Manning, of course, with quite a bit of what people expect.
Now, look, if you go down further on the list,
Arizona State
back, yes.
Illinois?
Yes.
Carolina?
Yes.
Michigan?
No.
Florida?
Yes.
SMU?
Yes.
K-State?
Yes.
OU?
No.
A&M?
Yes.
Indiana?
No.
Mendoza? Ole Miss?
No.
Iowa State?
Yes.
Tech?
Yes.
Tennessee?
No.
And then Boise?
Yes.
Yes.
So
I just curious to look at that.
So it's about even. All that being
I'd say
said,
like 12 or 13.
all
one
that
way.
being said, it's about down the middle.
Other Big 12 schools that did get at least a little nugget, TCU was at 4 votes and Colorado 1. And I mentioned, so 5 of them in the Big 12 getting receiving votes. There we are. All right, when we come back, the FCS coaches poll came out, and a couple other nuggets we have. Boy, I love having Brett McMurphy available. We do appreciate him. Tomorrow, Softy, get your earplugs from Washington, from KJR in Washington, Shahan Jararaja, Brandon McAnderson, former Kansas running back, Brandon Marcello, and John McClain. Craig's off the radar and more. That's just tomorrow with a loaded up show set up for you. This is 365 Sports. Ideal MRI. They put you first. Cutting edge scans, expertly read by board certified specialists in a comfortable and convenient setting. Plus transparent and affordable pricing the way healthcare should be at $497 or less. $497 or less. The average is $1,100. Smart. All the doctors come from places like Johns Hopkins Hospital or Stanford, a specialty training an area of your scan. State-of-the-art scan, state-of-the-art imaging machine for you. Their expert physicians will provide your doctor with a full report. Whenever I've had an MRI, no matter what part of my body it's been on, I've been able to, I think most every time, walk out the door with they hand me the CD disc in the sleeve and then put that information in the portal so your doctor, whether it's an orthopedic surgeon or family doctor, they can look at it too. State-of-the-art, American-made GE technology, state-of-the-art equipment, $497 or less at idealmri.com.
In our logo and advertising, we say we are people that you can count on. What does that mean? It starts with providing a quality vehicle and quality service at a fair price. But it also means we do what we say we will do, and we treat people fairly with respect. It starts by hiring great people, good local folks who work hard with a caring attitude. Our employees are the real reason we are people that you can count on. Put us to the test and see for yourself that at Richard Carr Motors, we are people you can count on.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Developed by Startup Waco, a nonprofit organization, GXG is a program designed to support the entrepreneurial development of Baylor University student athletes through NIL activations. The program helps student athletes maximize their platforms and offers a comprehensive support system for them to create and grow new businesses that not only benefit themselves, but also uplift the local economy. Fans who wish to support student athletes can donate to GXG via the GXG NIL Fund, BaylorBears.com/GXG. Contributions to support NIL activations through GXG can be made at BaylorBears.com/GXG. For more information, follow at GXG_GreenXGold on social media and visit the official website www.gxg.startupwaco.com. GXG, empowering student athlete entrepreneurship and uplifting the local economy through NIL activations.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine now has 2 locations to serve you. The original on Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street and the brand new spot in downtown Waco at 600 Franklin Avenue. If you're looking for the best in craft beers or local Texas bourbons, then the original is the place to be. And for the latest trends and online phenomenons, head downtown to the Franklin location. Either way, you're going to get the same great variety, customer service, and speedy experience. Check out both locations on their Facebook and Instagram pages. Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street, and now downtown on Franklin Avenue.
This is 365 Sports. Check out the 365 Sports family of channels on YouTube.
We have spent a lot of time. It's been great looking at football rankings, etc., and chewing all that up. Our guests, but there's also some of these teams ranked in this specific poll who could take on anybody and play well and beat some of the FBS schools. That's the FCS coaches poll, the AFCA, the American Football Coaches Association, defending national champion. And, of course, they've won an Easter basket full of them. North Dakota State, then Montana State, South Dakota State, University of Incarnate Word, Texas school at number 4. Tarleton State, we've covered them quite a bit. Todd Whitten, the head coach, ranked number 8 in the country. And then Abilene Christian, 16. Axum Jacks at 24 with our good friend Colby Carthel. But there are the teams ranked inside the top 25 in the we need to get Sam Herder on sometime this week, who covers the FCS.
It boggles my mind how good football has gotten in the Dakotas.
Yeah.
Not that like.
Well, 3 of the top 5 are from the Dakotas.
Yeah. I mean, they're really, really good up there. They've got really good programs. It doesn't surprise me to see Texas schools in here. I mean, they get like the Texas schools, and this is why they're so advantageous like at the FCS level, is they get the runoff from the bigger schools maybe better than any other state in the country when it comes to.
Well, it's the number of players available.
Yeah, exactly.
Too.
So like you also, the undiscovered guys that were even at 6A schools, because you're at a big 6A school and the 20 guys on your team all went D1. You just didn't have that opportunity, but somebody saw and goes, well, that kid can play. And then you've got somebody that's good, or the guys who haven't hit their growth spurt yet. That happens more in Texas than anywhere else. But man, they're just, the Dakotas.
North Dakota State 1, South Dakota State 3, who had taken over for a year or two, South Dakota at 5, and then North Dakota last year. I thought I saw that they were in the playoffs in 2020. Well, 16, 19, 20, 22, and 23, but not last year. But they have been somewhat successful too. So there we are. And now I'll reach out to Sam Herder.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure that would be a good discussion. But there's some teams on here that are playing some big schools early on. Montana State plays Oregon. So you got the number 2 team there. South Dakota plays Iowa State right after Iowa State gets back from their Ireland trip. Mm-hmm. So that's one to potentially watch out for if you're the Cyclones traveling back. SEC special late November, Mercer playing Auburn. And there's various.
Mercer don't they play? No, who's playing here in Waco? Is it Sanford? They're not in there. Okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah.
But Mercer plays Auburn. Those are just some examples of some of these teams that will be playing, bigger schools, the potential to play spoiler. But yeah, it's good to spread the love, and there is something about those Dakota schools. They just seem to dominate and know how to play FCS football better than anybody else out there on a statewide basis. So yeah, I mean, there's a lot of Texas teams in here. You mentioned a couple of them, right? As
3 or 4.
SFA, ACU,
Incarnate Word.
Okay, so there's 4, I think. So that's pretty healthy number as well. But yeah, for my money, give me the Dakotas against the field is how I would bet on it for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Idaho has steadily gotten better over the years. Montana State, all up there. They're really good. I lived with a guy for a while from Montana, and he got me kind of into that Montana State rivalry. That's one of the best. Like, if you're going to watch an FCS game this year, Montana State, make sure it's that one. If you pick one, I would say that's the one.
Yeah, I remember, I think SFA one year back in the day when they were really, really good. They were really, really good. And they played for the national title in '89 against Georgia Southern. But Larry Centers was on that team. I think it was like a year or 2 or 3 later, they went and played up in Montana. I don't know if it was Montana or Montana State, but it didn't end very well. I mean, it's snowing, freezing, and but they've been good for quite some time too.
Yeah, NAU, it's what is that? 17 or 18, I guess 18. They play
North Arizona, I think. Northern Arizona.
Well, I know who they are.
Oh,
I was saying that they play. I was trying to figure out which one they were on there is number 18, but they play Arizona State right out of the gates. So, yeah, there's a lot of crossover with some of the national brands and the Big 12 teams as well. So we'll actually, if you're watching enough football, you get your eyes on quite a few of these teams, especially early on.
All right. This is not a tweet for you, but Paul saw this. This is neat, West Virginia fans. Todd Bowles at Tampa Bay, football coach, says undrafted rookie Garrett Green is converting to receiver after playing quarterback in college. Very tough, very fast, has very good hands. Not a surprise. Also promising on punt returns, something the team was not previously aware of.
Yeah, because
he's going to have this way he's going to make the team. Right?
Yeah, because he didn't return punts. He'll at least, I think, now make the practice squad. I mean, their wide receiver room, they've drafted well there. I mean, obviously, Mike Evans is a legend, is going to be a Hall of Famer one day. I actually think that he might be the second most popular Buccaneer of all time. Now, I mean, Leroy Selman's always going to be number one, but I think Mike Evans is number two.
Derek Brooks?
I think he's above him.
Wow.
Derek Brooks. I
Wow.
really do. And you know why? Because he scores touchdowns.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's why. I mean, he scores a lot, but I think he is, and he's just very beloved in the city of Tampa. And I think he's replaced that, but they've got Emeka Ibuka.
I saw a video of him that there were analysts, like coaches, former coaches, scouts who were saying that he is a pristine route runner. Ibuka.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he had he had the best position coach in the country there. So they've got tons of really good wide receivers. So it's going to be a little tougher for him to make, I think, the 53, but they also have from Jalen McMillan they drafted a year ago.
Who are you
well.
talking about? Tampa
the
Bay?
Bucks, yeah.
Oh,
They
okay.
have Jalen McMillan that they drafted a year ago from Washington, who they like. So there's some shifting around there, but I really do hope he makes the team. He's a fun player to watch, and we got to talk to him at Big 12 Pro Day.
Enjoyed it.
He seemed really gung-ho to do it, and I'm not surprised that he's having success.
All right, now one more thing. Go ahead.
So who are we talking about here?
Garrett Green.
So we are talking about Garrett Green?
Yeah.
Brooks
We're
and all
talking
that
about the
came from?
depth chart that he'd
Okay,
have to,
I was
to
like-
be
I
able
was
to.
just saying Mike Evans might be the second most popular.
Okay, yeah. I mean, for Garrett Green, though, I mean, he's a quarterback, so he knows routes. He knows what receivers need to do. I don't think I would have bet my paycheck that he'd be like one of the stories of the preseason or anything. I mean, we'll see if he even makes the team. That's the other part. Is you hear a lot of great stories, and the guys don't even end up making the 53. But it sounds like at worst he'd be a practice squad guy, at least to start off with somewhere. And that's great for him. I'm sure some WVU fans are wondering why he didn't just play receiver at West Virginia. But he was a talented quarterback at times, but certainly not at the NFL level. So to see him finding his way to perhaps carve out a career, switching positions, wouldn't be the first, but that's awesome if that's the case. That's great. He's a really good athlete. Nobody can deny that. So if he's able to catch on, doesn't matter how you do it, that's awesome.
Couple of things on a poll and close out the day of polls. Paxton sent me his top 25 and then also mirrored it with the AP poll. Paxton, appreciate you sending me that information. If you ever want to do that, that's fine. Just love the fact we have interaction like that. And then this is nuts. And I reached out to RJ Young from Fox Sports. So I think doing the Big 12 in itself is a chore, right? Then do the top 25. RJ did all 136 of the FBS programs. I cannot imagine that it was, Troy, 98. Or just like, I'm going to try to get him on for us to have fun with how the hell did he do this?
Sorry about your luck, Kent State.
Well, Craig, you have said many times, both of you have many times in the last 3 to 5 months that they suck.
Well,
they're the worst team in the college.
I mean,
and unfortunately, we like them, appreciate the college, but they are not good.
No, they're not a good football program, unfortunately for them. But somebody's got to be last. So it was them or UMass, or I guess a handful of others could have possibly been in there. I assume RJ probably got to like 30 something. Is like, they're not paying attention after this point. Like, who's cross checking?
How is he paying attention after that point? I would lose my mind.
Yeah, I mean,
I think you got to start at the bottom and go up. I think you got to start at 136 and go to 1, because the easier ones are the top 30.
This might be one of those you got to put in tiers, right?
Yeah, probably. But again, I'm banking on he just figured nobody's paying attention after like a certain spot. But I mean, then I'm joking, obviously. But man, if Texas State's at 85, that's a real drop down for GJ Kinney.
UTEP
for
is at
example.
125, I think.
I mean, it's a cool exercise. It's like any other off-season content, being creative and coming up with a different way to kind of do things. So I don't know how many people rank 1 through 136, but that's cool that he did that. And yeah, I think it would be easier to actually start with the top 25.
Yeah.
I think you know who's expected to be pretty good. I think when you start trying to tell the difference between Eastern Michigan and Central Michigan, what are we even doing here? I wouldn't know what to do about that. So
North Texas at 98, Purdue and our buddy Barry Odom, who we're trying to get on, at 99. All right, there we are with that. When we come back, we'll have Paul Catalina at his top 5, and Andrew Valade will have the poll results from today. This is 365 Sports.
Overwhelmed by your inbox? Clean Email is here to help. Organize, clean, and manage your emails with powerful automation tools. Say goodbye to spam and clutter and enjoy a stress-free inbox. Try Clean Email today at cleanemail.com. That's CLEAN email.com. Founded in 1910, Samsonite is the world leader in durable, high-quality luggage and travel accessories. Made to the highest standards, our products won't let you down. We give you the confidence to get out there and explore. Inspired by the past, devoted to the present, and built to inspire a multi-generational future, Samsonite is here to elevate your journey. Travel with Samsonite and pack confidence every step of the way. Shop now at .samsonite.com. Samsonite.
This is Paul Catalina. Top 5.
Edward Jones Financial Advisors Ben Erlitzen, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott understand these are difficult and changing times we live in, but they know how important your financial investments are to you. So is your financial advisor staying in touch with you and helping you navigate today's financial climate? Invest with Edward Jones Financial Advisors Ben Erlitzen, Brad Wilson, and Cam Heathcott, who invest their time and experience back to you and your money. And like coaching athletes, investing money is about time, patience, and encouragement. Contact Ben Erlitzen at 254.
Welcome back. Paul Catalina's top 5 to wrap up the show today. We've got Andrew Valade's polls coming up right after this. We're, of course, brought to you by flagandanthem.com. Go to their website, 365 Sports. Get yourself
365 Sports. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Number 5 through number 1. I made you wait through the weekend to see this. The rest of it was not without controversy, I'm
Pizza,
sure.
burgers,
I don't know.
and
I
Bears
don't read the
football.
comments.
There's no place around Waco that
makes me
serves
mad.
them all
You
other
don't
than Bubba's
like me when I'm
33.
angry.
Come show your green
Yes,
and gold.
I'm the Incredible Hulk of sports talk. That's me. Let's go number 5 through number 1. Wrapping this up. Number 5, go Tigers, LSU. Big Garrett Nussmeier fan here. I think what he's got around him, I think they should be better. I think they should be in the top 5 to 8 all year long. And if they are not, It is squarely at the feet of their dorky-ass head coach.
Facts.
If they are not 5-8, given the talent they have in that roster on both sides, offense and defense, and the coaching talent that he has accrued on his staff, that is a disappointment. This should be a playoff team with a quarterback who could be the number 1 pick in the draft in Garrett Nussmeier. If you have that, you should have something. Number 4, Texas. Yeah, didn't put him at number 1. Got to see something from Arch Manning. Got to see something from the new offensive line. I've got to see something from the new receivers. I've got to see something from the new defense. They've lost a lot of guys off some really good teams. Now, Sark has done a good job of getting the guys who are coming back playing time, but they do have a lot of transfers as well. It's got to gel together. They do have a bit of a treacherous schedule if you think about if Oklahoma is truly better, if A&M is truly better, those are games that they're more likely to lose than they were a year ago, even though they won both those games. There are things that could get in their way on down the line. So let's just wait and see. Let's let Arch earn it for Arch's sake. Texas fans, don't get too excited too early. That's why you get disappointed when things don't go exactly your way. Just let it happen naturally. You can't make a tree grow in one watering. Just let the tree grow and enjoy it. Number 3, Notre Dame. Their defense is stout. Their running game is amazing. They've added some wide receivers and playmakers on the outside to match up with Jaden Greathouse, who I really love. C.J. Carr in his first year as a starter, but highly recruited and developed through the system, which I think will be really good for Notre Dame, that they're not doing these one-and-done quarterbacks like they did with Sam Hartman and Riley Leonard. Marcus Freeman's on a roll. I think he's one of the best coaches in the country. I think you'll see something special out of the Fighting Irish this year. Number 2, Penn State. Why not number 1? They've got to win that big game first. They've got to win that big game first. But Jim Knowles, being the defensive coordinator, is going to help them do that. They have so many returners on offense. They've got 2 superstar running backs. Drew Aller, who's a really good quarterback. They should be number 1 or number 2 in everybody's poll just based on that. But James Franklin has yet to win that big game against a top 10 opponent regularly. He's actually only done it once. So once he does it twice, maybe they'll get some juice. And number 1, the other Death Valley Tigers, Clemson. Cade Klubnik, some actual transfers, a defensive line with Peter Woods. This is a very good team. Dabo Swinney didn't forget how to coach. If he can get his head out of his own, for just a minute, this is going to be a scary good team, and I think he finally has. Garrett Riley, year 3. Again, I'm going to mention Cade Klubnik. He will be a terror on the ACC, which is, in my opinion, Clemson and everybody else right now until someone else proves it. So they should be able to roll along pretty well after that LSU game, however that one turns out, and pick off people throughout the conference. They bookend with LSU and South Carolina. Those are 2 tough games. We don't know pretty much anything about everybody else in the middle when it comes to all these rebuilding teams in the ACC. But Clemson, I'll tell you, they're my number 1 team right now. Well, that's going to do it for us. We've got to read some polls. Have a great day, everybody.
All right, Paul. Kim Coulter. No, this is from Paxton. I'll bet my golf bag it's not Clemson, everything included.
Oh,
my.
Here we go.
That's thousands of dollars.
There we go. Send it my way there, Paxton.
Kim Coulter. Wow, Paul put Clemson way, way above Texas.
Oh, 4 spots.
Barry Crawford, I'm getting Paul Catalina, ACC homer vibe. Now, I've never thought of you as that.
You know what he's doing? He's doing like I do with like Texas or somebody. He's reverse cursing it is what he's going for.
I don't have that power, Craig.
But if you don't think Texas, where did you have Texas?
5.
Yeah, see, that means they'll win it all. Way to go, Paul, you idiot.
But see, I say that, and I don't actually reverse curse Texas. They are just good. So I just say that, but I don't get my hopes up, I guess is what I'm saying. So Paul's just defaulting he knows Clemson's going to be good, and it's just it is what it is, right?
They have done everything that they should do to be good, to be back to their level. There's nothing they haven't done that makes me think that they wouldn't do that. the only thing that's different now is Dabo's a little more insufferable than he was 5, 6, 7 years ago, but he's finally doing the little things to like change and roll with the times.
He's the same guy.
But the problem is though, being the same guy the whole time, that can get you fired. Ask Jimbo Fisher.
And he was slipping.
Yeah, he was slipping.
He was starting to like be
well,
careful.
and the whole like all shucks gets a little old when all of a sudden you start losing games.
Yeah, no, you're right. Yeah. And then he gets a little bit sensitive, of course, like what he did to the caller and all that. All right, I think Texas goes unbeaten, beats Ohio State by 30, and they don't give up any points in SEC play.
Who said that?
He's just trolling like he always does.
Like, hell yeah.
I didn't miss that. I did not miss the trolling for the last week.
Do you guys remember when we first started the show? Remember we were on our way to the studio one day, and it's when they opened up against Maryland, like a couple of years in a row, and Maryland ran like the zone read or whatever, and they couldn't stop them, and they went through hell. Sark has put them in a position.
Yeah. No, it was not wasn't ACC homerism. They only had, I think, 3 ACC or 4 teams in the poll: Clemson, Louisville, and Miami, and SMU. So I had 4 teams in the poll. So it's definitely not homerism. If it was, I would have wedged Georgia Tech in there, and
nothing wrong with that.
No, but I mean, like they would have been. They're just outside. I thought about them, but it's not. Believe me, I have no homerism towards the ACC.
Well, because you hate the conference as a member of a Florida State.
I actually
alum.
don't. I just don't. I'm not looking at them going like, ooh.
No.
But like when they hired Belichick, there's all these people like, oh, can they contend? Not year one.
No.
Have you seen his roster? It's not that good.
Alan Makeda, boy, those Maryland days were rough. That jet sweep, they just killed Texas defense.
That reminds me of Texas had a couple little spurts with teams like that. BYU was another one. With Taysom Hill, you say that name, and that just gives Texas fans nightmares. Like they
sweating.
A couple of random pockets of teams that gave them trouble. But if they go run the table, like I know you were trolling all that, it'd be one of the greatest football teams of all time, given their schedule.
If you go undefeated in this day and age, which means you have to win at 15, maybe 16 games. I mean
16, yes.
Can you go undefeated and have to play 16? Go 12-0, win a conference game. That's 13. You're going to get a first-round bye.
Yes, you can go 16-0. 17-0 would be really crazy if you went undefeated and then still had to not get a first-round bye.
And I remember when teams started to win 13 to win the national title, which of course was very, very, very rare. All right, the polls from the Silent Assassin. How did the first ever female umpire of a Major League Baseball game, how did she do?
I mean,
39% mixed. I watched only a few clips. How do you think she did?
Well, I mean, I didn't watch the game. And look, no offense to her, but I would never watch something just because an umpire is different. I don't watch the games of the umpires or the refs.
I think the first pitch, though, she missed the strike.
Yeah, but I would say that everything I've read about it, there's not a problem. I don't know why people would come at her and say she's poor. What do you know that she did a poor job? Look, here's the thing. Major League Baseball's had a problem with umpires for a very long time.
Yeah, it could be Jack.
It could be anybody. She did a fine job. I'm not a person who can grade umpires, even though I watched that whole game based on one game completely. Now, you give me an umpire over a series and you watch how the whole crew does, then I know. Or somebody over a career like, Angel Hernandez,
he was brilliant.
Awful. I mean, just awful, and didn't understand that you're supposed to be kind of
angry
and anonymous.
All right, back to the poll.
Well, she got 92% grading on her.
Yeah,
she missed 15 calls out of 152 pitches. So I think
sounds like pretty
normal.
Like
it's pretty okay.
I wonder what the normal number would be. Also, what's your take on storming the field after a big win? I've never had a problem with it. I think sometimes it becomes a trend once one team does it. 37% love it, 31% part of tradition. I'm probably in those two. Fun but risky and not a fan, 32%. A third of the poll. Fun but risky or not a fan, 18%.
I just think you need to have some historical awareness when you rush the field. Like, for example, Alabama should never rush the field.
Texas will never rush the field.
You shouldn't rush the field.
I wonder if they ever have.
I can't imagine. If you are a team that has multiple national titles in your history and you believe that you should be in the upper echelon, everything should be expected. You should never rush the field. But that's me.
But you know what? If Nebraska, and maybe they've already done this, but if they actually were to beat Ohio State at home, even with all their history because of how bad they've been, running onto the field or rushing the field, would that be acceptable? To me, no. But to them, my God, most of them running on the field, they've never experienced that before.
So here's free content idea, because I'm not going to do the work to put this all together.
Just never rush the field?
Let's go to Budge. How about CF Budge? How about he could do this, or anybody else that wants to do it? Like, when's the last time multiple teams rushed the field? And I just pulled up a little quick Google search, and it's Google AI that pops up. So, again, not always accurate. 100% accurate. Definitely not always 100% accurate. But, for example, a couple interesting notes. Georgia rushed the field in 2000 when they beat Tennessee. The first time they had beaten the Vols since 1988. Now, would Georgia do that in this day and age? No, not with them now, but 2000 was the last time. And you can kind of go through. Florida has never rushed the field after a home game. Is that correct?
I would believe that.
But they did rush it in Tallahassee after a win over FSU in 1982.
Yeah.
According to the Gainesville Sun.
Did anyone pull out a sword?
That's why I think that's the reason that it's always been frowned upon at Doak Campbell. Not because
the visiting team did it.
The visiting team did it.
So there's some, Arkansas last time. So I don't know how accurate these are. But it's just
I'll tell you, if you've ever been to the Swamp, from the student section to storming the field's not that easy.
All right. Reddit. Okay.
It's tough.
All right. Texas, where you will absolutely never hear that they've rushed the field. Has Texas ever rushed the field? From Horn fans. Yes, 1990 Houston, Texas was the first team to figure out how to beat the run and shoot, and they rushed the field. I did not know that.
Yeah, I think pretty much everybody's probably done at this point.
Yeah.
Here's from Reddit, and I know we got to go. When was the last time your team's fans stormed the field? I'll look that up tonight and make a list to see if there's any kind of list of.
Well, there's a segment tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Thank you, Garrett Ross. Appreciate you. King Jiu-Jitsu. Andrew Valledo also came up with some more merchandise for us to wear to show off what we do at 365 Sports in Brandon. Rowe, man, his second outing on the mound was a hell of a lot better than his first, although he gave up a few runs in the opening inning. Really nice job, Brandon. Thank you very much.
He's moved out of the bullpen. He's into the rotation now.
Yeah, he had a high pitch count, but he's closing the game, so that's all good. I did want to say, so for that, I don't want to make you do a bunch of homework, but maybe like the top 10 historical programs, like the
Georgia,
when's the last
Alabama,
time
Ohio State,
Michigan, Michigan, Oklahoma, etc. And then sprinkle in some Big 12. You find some things of interest, but that's some content right there.
I'll try to look that up, and also don't forget, Brandon, you're only as good as your next game. I'm David Smoak for Paul and Craig. Thank you so much. We appreciate, we love you, the family of 365 Sports. Good night.